What's going on, Internet? The Black Hokage here, aka TBH, and to be honest, I'd like to welcome you guys back to the Gaming Illuminati podcast. We are the Enlightened Gamers, and you're now tuned into episode 158. If you're watching the video version of the show at youtube.com/GI Updates, know this show is available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and all other major podcast platforms. Also, be sure to rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. We need your 5-star rating to move up in that algorithm and bring in new listeners. Follow the podcast on social media. We drop daily content on our pages. We're available on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and our handle for every page is at GI Updates. Links will be in the description box below on the YouTube version. And we're also on Discord, discord.gg/GI Updates. Once again, all our social medias in the description box below. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to my co-host, the first of which loves to raid me on Twitch when I'm about to get off stream and go to bed. Recently, it was her birthday, so make sure to say happy birthday in the comments sections to Miss 5000 Watts. Say what up to the people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I do. I have really good timing. But I mean, the last time was important because you were on Demon of Hatred. So we had to see that.
Yeah. A lot of people said that I was going to struggle. I was going to be, another 19-hour stream. There has not been a boss on Sekiro that's taken me longer than an hour. Like, I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked myself. I'm not going to lie. My second co-host recently, he cheated on Ace. Somebody came down to Florida by the name of Siggy. Normally he has drinks with Ace, but he had drinks with Siggy recently. UTX JG the Don. Say what up to the people.
Hey, the only reason why that happened is because Ace doesn't drink anymore, right? That man doesn't.
I was unaware of this.
Yeah, he's sworn off drinking for a while. You know, his diet, and he said he's only having a drink when he had his daughter, so he had to drink then. But that man don't drink no more.
We are
now. Siggy still drinks. Siggy still drinks. So we had some drink, even though I didn't drink anything. But shout out to Siggy, man. He came through.
For sure. And last but certainly not least, I fully expect this guy to contribute to 75% of today's conversation because there are some topics here on the show that only he can talk about because he got exclusive access. This is a very important man right here. The Detroit developer himself, Ethos. Say what up to the people.
I just want to say, look how far we've come. I've come from Ethos plays no games to Ethos plays games that no one else can play. I love it.
Well, technically, you still don't play no games. You play game.
I'm playing a game right now. Leave me alone.
Because you played one at a time. You played Star Wars. And but you weren't playing them at the same time. Then you played Flintlock, but you ain't playing games. I don't want to hear that.
You're saying I got to be playing multiple games at the same exact time. I was unaware of this.
I guess. Okay. Well, let's get into the opening conversation for the show. Since the last show, the last game to come out, I wouldn't call it like a major release. It's really more like a AA game. But, here we actually play games. It's available on Game Pass. It's called Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn. It is I would define it as a Souls-light game, L-I-G-H-T, because it borrows elements from the Souls games, but it's also very action-oriented. It stars a black woman named Noor, who's been the center of controversy. I would say conversation. Well, both.
I mean, conversation too. Yeah. Controversy.
And her best friend Inky, who's a god, and they're kind of at war with some other gods. Not to spoil anything, but it's like Black God of War. Sort of.
Black God.
Not as good though. Not as good. Not in terms of combat. Lots of platforming, action, skill trees. You got the floor, ladies first. Watts, what are our first impressions on Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn?
Okay. I think it's okay. I don't think it's a bad game. I would maybe say it's a good game, but I definitely don't want to finish the game. It's got some stuff going on with it, which is some of my biggest pet peeves, and that is the telegraphing of enemy attacks. Because they're trying to do the whole like Soulsy adjacent thing. So they want you to do like parrying and interrupting and precise dodging. But some of the enemies, they're doing pretty well telegraphed stuff. And then all of a sudden they just hit you with an attack out of nowhere, just instantly. And I really don't like that. It's also a little floaty, like you kind of like float across the floor a little bit. So combat in these types of games is such a huge thing for me that I was like, I don't know. But I think it's doing some really interesting stuff. Like, I like a lot of the movement. The movement is pretty fun because you can double jump, you can dash around, you can use the Enki's triangle things, whatever those are called, to like fly all around the map. So I like a lot of what they're doing, and I can see the vision. And I also like that they're doing the when you do combos, that increases the amount of currency that you get in order to level up your character and upgrade weapons and stuff. I like that. There's some good stuff going on. I just don't think the combat is there. So it makes me not super excited to keep playing it.
You know what I respect? I respect the fact that you admitted you're not going to beat the game, unlike these other two. Just love to pretend like they play games. I respect that. I kind of agree with your sentiment. I feel like the trailers sold this game on for me. Like the trailers were a lot better than the game itself. Based off like what I played, the best way I can define Flintlock is it's a Game Pass game. Like it's a solid
It's a Game Pass game.
It's a solid 6 or 7 based off what I think I got like 10 hours on it. And I agree with you with the combat. Like there's certain parts where it feels good, but my biggest issue is the parry system. It's very janky. The window is really weird. So like I found it very hard to parry in the game just because it didn't have a good. I think it doesn't help either that I'm playing Sekiro right now. I'm on my revenge tour, and like still to this day, and I even said it when the game had first came out. Like the best parry system I've ever played in a game is Sekiro. So because I'm playing both games at the same time, I can't help but compare it, and it's just kind of hard to jump back to Flintlock. You really feel that jank. But I think the good thing is it doesn't force you to parry. Dodging in the game is very viable. So like it didn't bother me too much that the parry isn't that bad. I really enjoy the platforming in this game. I'm a sucker for anything platforming, just jumping around, those purple things. The game rewards you for exploring and like jumping around, and it's one of those games where like I would say it's semi-open world. It gives you just enough wiggle room to where you can explore, but you never really fully get lost. And I agree. I do like that the XP system. It kind of has like this gambling XP system where whenever you get a hit, it gives you a multiplier and it gives you more XP. And then if you do get hit, you'll lose it all. So you have to figure out when you want to cash out and when you want to keep going. I thought that was really cool. I just wish that the upgrades and the clothing wasn't so expensive. I also don't like the fact that the clothing runs on the same XP as your upgrades for your skill tree. So I caught myself feeling like I had to pick between an upgrade or a fire fit. And that's always annoying. I know Elden Ring did it, but like when Elden Ring did it, like it was okay because the only thing that was really expensive was the actual upgrades. But in this game, like the clothes are just as expensive as the actual upgrades. So it's like, it feels like it feels kind of, it's artificially forcing you to grind. And I didn't enjoy that part, but like it's okay. The story's just okay. Like everything's just kind of okay. Like it's something to play. If you have Game Pass, I'd recommend it. But like I think it's $30 or $40 if you don't have Game Pass. I'd say put it on your Steam wish list if you really want to try it. Maybe when it's like 10, 15. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with what you all are saying. But unlike Watts, I actually do plan on finishing this. I do want to get through it, especially since I'm so far. I think according to Homeless, when I told her where I was, I think I'm like more than halfway. So I'm like, you know what? I'm waiting for Wukong anyway. Like there's these other games in between, so why not just go ahead and finish it out? I do enjoy the combat, but I think to both of you all sentiment, I think we are severely spoiled with From Software. I think From Software has crafted some really, really good projects. We literally just got off of Elden Ring, so it's hard to go from something like Elden Ring and then UTBH going back to Sekiro and then playing Flintlock, which is a Souls Light. We're not expecting it to be at the same level, but it's just hard not to compare and be like, well, dang, Elden Ring was like this, Sekiro was like this. Both of them were so great. And then we get to Flintlock and things just aren't as polished as we would like for it to be combat-wise. And then on top of that, the story is it's very mediocre. Like, it's there, it's okay. But I feel like if the story was better, I would be more engaged and like more just pressed to finish it. I'm finishing it because like it's just there and I'm already invested in it, but I'm not finishing it because, hey, I really want to see what's going to happen at the end. So if that makes sense. And then definitely agree with what TBH was saying with the currency system. It definitely needs to be some other sort of currency there, because I feel like even though you're just getting all of the like materials and stuff as you go through, that's only for like the first level of like armor and weapon upgrades. But after that, they're asking you for just straight currency. And I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Like, what's the point of me still getting materials then if it's only for like the first level of
the skill tree is very expensive too.
Yeah, the skill tree does get expensive. Yeah, it does get up there. I was like, when I got up to like the third level, it was like 11,000 to upgrade. So I'm like, geez, I was like, when am I going to get? Where am I going to get all this currency from? So it's definitely unforgiving. I don't know if they're trying to force you to just rest somewhere, like go fast travel, rest somewhere, and then rinse and repeat. Find those farming spots. I don't know if that's what they're really trying to get you to do. I don't know if you're going to be able to fill out the entire skill tree by the time the game is done, or just really you have to pick and choose what you really want. I know that you can, unequip things in order to get your currency back, but still, like if I picked it, it's for a reason. So I definitely do agree that the currency system does need a little bit of work. It's definitely unforgiving at times, but like I said, I enjoy it for what it is. I think the combat, once I finally got used to, how janky it could be at times, because there are certain enemies and I'm just like, bro, like you shouldn't be hitting me. Why do you only have unblockable attacks? Like literally just spamming a ton of unblockable attacks. I'm like, damn, like it's hard.
I don't have any bullets and you're spamming unblockables, man. Please.
Right. So it does suck. It gets a little bit annoying at at times like that with certain enemies. But I think overall it's definitely an okay game. And I would say this, if you're not like fully sold on playing a Souls or Soulsborne game, because I know there are some people who are scared, people who just pick up Elden Ring or Sekiro, a game like that, and then they get to the first boss and they're like, oh shit, no me, I'm gonna just cut it off and not play it anymore. So if you're like, want a little bit of an easier challenge, because this game does have a difficulty scale as well. If you want something that's easier, more like I would say an entry point. This could be a nice little entry point into Souls games if you want to go that route. It's not terrible. It's definitely a good game. It's just not as polished as From Software and the masterpieces that they have been making. So I think again in this panel we're just very spoiled on those type of games, and we have higher expectations on what a true Soulsborne game should be like. And so far, I think we can all agree. I think we spoke about it before. The closest thing to that has really been Lies of P. But really, it's been hard to get anything closer. Maybe Stellar Blade, but it's here or there whether you really consider that a Soulsborne game or not.
Before I toss it to you, Ethos, can I just say too, like, also, this is something I've been thinking about. It's okay for a game to be okay. This is something I've been thinking about a lot recently. Like, there's just no in between nowadays where like a game either has to be game of the year or it has to be the worst thing to ever exist for people to want to have a conversation about it. It just feels like, and it kind of, I just feels like you guys don't even be playing no games. I'm like, yo, are we trying to also stop harassing people who like if I think it's a 6 or a 7, but somebody thinks it's an 8 or a 9, like I've been looking at comment sections of videos, just people harassing people because they like this game or any other game that might be like a 6 or like it's all subjective. It's all art. People are allowed to like something like that. I think it could be a little bit better, but like it's okay if you like it more, and it's also okay if you don't like it as much. It's getting really weird in gaming. I don't even know how to articulate what I'm thinking. It's just getting really weird. Ethos, what'd you think of the game?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as I played a couple hours of it on play a little bit of and I kind of got away from it where I was just like, I want to wait until there's some patch work done for the game, and then I think I'll go back. But I don't feel like if they don't make any changes to the time, I don't think I want to.
Set up on your mic for me.
Oh, sorry about that. Is that better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, like I was saying, I think the biggest problem I have with the game is, again, the timing of a lot of the attacks. I 100% agree with that. I feel like there were so many times where not only telegraphing, but sometimes like the timing of certain attacks just were like it would just like, okay, yeah, I can read this, and then they do like a third attack. I also had an issue with the idea like you're playing Sekiro right now, so you know how like when you swing on somebody, there's always like a hit react, like you feel like you're playing
a satisfying cling.
Well, not even a satisfying cling, but like if you hurt them, you know how they'll react to the getting
yeah,
right. And usually they don't swing on you. This game, however, has mobs where you'll swing on them with a sword, and they'll just like they all have hyper armor. They'll just ignore it and then just hit you back immediately. And I hate that. I hate that so much when games who try to replicate Souls games and they do that with their NPCs, because that's like a crucial thing that I feel like if I hit you with a big enough weapon, or if I hit you with a heavy enough weapon, you should act like you got hit by it. And that really was something that like constantly, I get it for bosses. I get that for like higher tier enemies where shouldn't be the case for some of them, or after a certain point of you wailing on them, they should just be able to break out of whatever type of like combo you're doing to them and respond to you, so that you can't cheese them. But in this game, it's just even the normal like trash mobs, they also just don't care if you're hitting, and it doesn't feel like rewarding. It feels more like I have to be constantly scared that I can't really like fully invest in a combo because, you know, they might just decide, oh, I'm just going to wind up and start hitting you now. And I have to now go on defense. It just doesn't have that back and forth that like Sekiro and like Elden Ring has. So that's probably like, that's my biggest concern. And that's outside of me like playing only like one boss. I can't fathom if this is the case with mobs, like how I'm pretty sure probably JG sounds like JG's farther than and Watts. Like I can't fathom me going to like a boss and also dealing with this where like some timing's off with the boss. It irritates me further. So for me, I'm actually the opposite as JG. I actually liked, at least from the initial hours of me playing it, I was interested in the what's it called? I was interested in the campaign and the story. So I'm very interested in the story and seeing how that like wraps together later on. JG's like, it's kind of boring at that point. That'll be also, but I agree with you too. I don't think every game needs to be the best thing ever. But I do think a game needs to be at least decent enough that it's worth investing into it. If a game doesn't do that for me, then I'm more than happy to just put it aside and play it.
It's a Game Pass game.
It's a Game Pass game. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not a bad game. I just wouldn't be like, hey, if you have a bunch of other games you're interested in, prioritize playing this one. This one is the one. And
Backlog.
like I've been playing, Once Human, No Rest for the Wicked put out their first like massive update. So I have so many things that I want to play that's not really giving me a reason to jump back into it.
How's the I think y'all three are playing on PC, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How's the performance? Because I've read some comments on YouTube that the performance isn't the best on PC.
Mine was perfect. Yeah.
I had no problem.
No
Okay,
problem.
so they might have had toasters. Okay. I played on Xbox. I didn't have any issues. I did run into like bugs and glitches. I don't know about y'all though. Like I was like clipping through the environment at certain points, but nothing like game breaking. I'm just a little jank.
No technical issue.
Okay.
That's one of my main like positive things is like, hey, this is like a PC version of a game that came out and it performs really well. I haven't had any bugs. It's been super smooth.
Okay. Well, let's move the conversation over to the actual controversy surrounding this game. This is another one of those games where, unfortunately, I feel like, regardless of how we feel about it, I don't feel like it got a fighting chance to even succeed. And I think that's why Marvel Rivals put that little thing in their contract where, like, you're not supposed to be like slandering us. We want actual like criticism. Because, like, I think we've been calling them gaming grifters. Like, they've infiltrated the community. And the smear campaign that's been going around for this game is that it's woke. So I wanted to shift the conversation to that. I was confused when I first read about this, but I saw a lot of videos on YouTube. So I asked Twitter's AI, Grok, I was like, why are so many people calling Flintlock Siege of Dawn a woke game? And it said primarily for two reasons. A, the main character is black. And then B, also there's a very popular person who never gets off of Twitter. He's like the leader of the Go Woke Go Broke crowd, and he basically said that Sweet Baby Inc. He doesn't have any like proof, but there's rumors that Sweet Baby Inc. might have worked on the game, so people are just like shitting on it. So I mean, from your experience, Jay, have you seen anything woke in this game?
No, like none at all. Like and it's like I get when people try to fish for things. They're like, oh, there's this one line or one scene or one thing that happens in the story that makes it woke and political. You're trying to put politics in our game. We don't want that. And I haven't seen anything. Like the conversations that have been happening in the story so far have not been anywhere near political. It's just a story about Noor, who is a trapper. And she ends up getting beat up by a demon, like almost dying, and then it's like, okay, well now here's a god who wants you to kill the other god. So and that's really what she's going through right now. It's not really anything intricate that's going on in between, at least so far. But that's really it. So I don't know what they're talking about. I think literally we're just hanging on to the fact of what you said, that first of all the main character is black, which is just It's like, just admit you're racist at that point. Cause why are we still talking about that? A main character could be any type of race, so that's an irrelevant point. But the second one about Sweet Baby Inc., that there's a clear agenda that's been going on. There's literally an entire Steam group that's at any game that has any inkling of anybody from Sweet Baby Inc. working on it, then they're just going to absolutely crap on it. So that's what happened more than I feel like the main character being black, because there's nothing political in this video game. If they actually play it, that's the problem. They don't play it.
There's no this game is a prime example of how they don't play games. There's no alternative lifestyle or political agenda at all. It's literally a fantasy game starring a black character. But like, I guess my issue is it's the fact that somebody just tweeted like, yo, somebody told me in the DMs Sweet Baby Inc. might have worked on this. I don't have any receipts. And like, people just ran with the shit. Like, there's nothing in this game that promotes any of that. So
this is the thing that upsets me even more. Is like, so these people are like, we're fine with black people existing in media, which obviously not, but don't race swap characters. And in this game, you have an original character, a brand new IP. She happens to be a black woman, and it's a problem. It's still a problem. So it just shows you that like, they're gonna move the goalposts every single time something happens, because their problems are not what they're actually saying. They're racist because there's nothing in this game that is indicating that they're pushing any kind of agenda. And I would really like to see people's sources on stuff instead of just being like, yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. worked on this game. Well, show me your sources, right? And it can't be, I read an article or I saw a post on Reddit. It's like, okay, well, who did the article speak to that was a part of that? Did you talk to someone from Sweet Baby Inc. who was like, yeah, we worked on this game? Did you talk to a developer of Flintlock that was like, yeah, we worked with them? There's nothing. There's never any sources, any facts, anything. It's just people being mad.
Yeah, and I guess my question to those people is like, where's your humanity in this? Because at the end of the day, regardless of how you feel about if there's any type of agenda being pushed, if it's genuinely something being pushed, I need you to have receipts, because at the end of the day, this is a studio. This is people's livelihoods. And like, you can't complain about layoffs in the community, in the gaming industry, and then you're part of the reason. Like, it's like this game didn't even get a fighting chance. It feels like it kind of got lost in the shuffle, and the little bit of promotion that it did have, some of that is Microsoft for not promoting the game, but then a little bit that people are talking, it's getting negative press. It's just like, come on, bro, at least have some receipts. That's all I'm saying. Because like, they are people.
What too, though, is that like, this game is a AA game. And we've all been like, stop with these games with these 8-year dev cycles that take 500 people. You're killing the industry. It's cost like $20 billion to make a game. And here's a game that you do not see many of these types of games or these studios anymore. And they've managed to make a solid game without having the crazy budget and the crazy amount of people working on it. Like, this game is kind of everything that people have been wanting, that we don't need these AAA super crazy mega hit games, that we also need to have AA games coming out. So it just shows you that they don't care about the actual game industry, right? Like, they never talk about anything that's actually hurting the game industry or gamers. It's always just pushing their agenda.
Yeah, I wish that they would use their platform to actually talk about all of these studios that have been closing down and all these layoffs. Wouldn't that be something important, especially from former game devs? I think that would be near and dear to your heart. But no, you want to talk about black people and women and LGBTQ things in video games that y'all don't even play. Like, I don't even understand what the whole point of their argument is anymore. Because like, when it comes to Flintlock, yeah, there was a rumor that this character got race swapped, and it was from, again, an unconfirmed source, somebody who claimed that they worked on Flintlock and said that yes, Sweet Baby came in and did this overhaul and race swapped the character. Okay, even if that's true, so what? Are you going to play the game or not? But we could tell that y'all didn't. Y'all are just harping on these rumors that y'all are catching and then saying, hey, Sweet Baby ain't worked on the game, therefore it's crap, and we're not even going to give it a chance.
I have a challenge for these people. Like, instead of, spewing all the things that you do hate, let's see you guys play some games. Like, what do you like?
Yeah, what do you like? What do you like? I would love to. Well, I guess, they liked Stellar Blade until it was censored, right?
Yeah, which is weird. It just wasn't hot enough. That's all I want to see. I just want to see more of like, what do y'all like? That's all. I just be curious about that. But we know the answer because we got the article. 60% of y'all don't play new games, and the ones who do, they are 6 years or older, like Roblox, Call of Duty, Fortnite. It is what it is. But I would say if you got Game Pass, check it out. There's no political agenda here. Don't let that sway you. Judge it for yourself.
Just a black woman hitting people and like flying a little bit.
Oh my God, man. Speaking of smear and hate campaign, that actually perfectly segues into our next topic. Another game that I don't think got a fair shake, and it's called Concord. Concord is an upcoming first-person shooter game that's developed by Firewalk Studios. Is it 5v5 or 6v6, something like that? Hero shooter with a bunch of different abilities, different game modes, $40. They said no Game Pass. PS5 and PC with crossplay. They recently had a beta last week, and we had a little play date night, all four of us, where we played together and we thrashed people online. I'll take the floor on this one. So my first impressions of the game is I was genuinely surprised because this game was getting a lot of hate, and this is one of those games that got the weird kind of hate. Because I seen a screenshot go viral. Somebody posted, like, look how many people playing Concord. This shit trash. And it was a screenshot of the Steam DB. It was like 600 people online. I'm like, okay. My critical thinking, I'm like, okay, this is a new IP. Sony's really not promoting it. Also, you had to pay to get in the first week. The second week, it was open to everybody. So that was the first week they put that shit. So I went in a little bit skeptical because there were some viral tweets, but playing it myself, I had fun with it. It felt like a solid 7.58 based off the beta that I played. And at $40, it felt like there was a lot of value there. There were some really cool characters with some unique concepts, like that big yellow dude that just sucks.
The vacuum. The vacuum.
It just sucks. The shooting felt really good. It felt really satisfying, especially when you work together as a team. All the different classes felt viable. I really liked playing as a tank. Normally it's like a chore. I usually get tasked to that, but like the tank classes felt good. The characters had a lot of personality, and they're doing something really unique. People complain that there's nothing unique or innovative going on in games, but something that they're doing unique is, I don't know if they're going to actually do it. I'm just telling you what they said they're going to, and correct me if I'm wrong. They said they're going to be dropping like a new cutscene like every week or like once a month or something like that to tell a story.
Every week, yeah.
Yeah, so every week you're going to be able to tune in, get some new piece of content to go with your $40 game that has no battle pass. And one person took a screenshot of the player count on the beta when it wasn't even open yet, and people were just like, this shit is trash. And it just became cool to, so I was genuinely shocked. I thought this shit was gonna be ass, and I thought it was fun. I was like, I would play it. What about you, Ethos?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I played a little bit of it beforehand, before it went live for everybody else, not for Chasel. She gave me. Like I enjoyed it, but that was because, like I've said before, I know a lot of people try to compare it to Overwatch, but I keep trying to, I'm like, no, this is Destiny. This is 1,000% Destiny 2. It feels like movement-wise Destiny 2. It feels more like kind of like old school, like a little bit like early Destiny 2 PvP. Also, maybe some people might say kind of similar to Destiny 1 PvP, but I didn't play that much of D1's PvP, so I can't speak on that. But my experience has been like, it just reminds me of that, like from the mechanics to some of the characters, play styles, like they just remind me of similar styles that I would see and play as in Destiny 2. I see a lot of people saying, who's this game for? And who are they marketing this game towards? Because how are they going to get the Overwatch fans? How are they going to get, the people comparing to Marvel Rivals, which I think is such a stupid comparison, because one's a third-person shooter, the other one's a first-person shooter. I think ultimately it comes down to like just one thing where, and this is where I kind of wish Sony would focus its marketing on, which is I'm like, there is a strong group of people. I mean, even after what's happened this week, it's insane with Bungie right now. There is an entire section of player base that effectively feels neglected by Bungie. That's always felt that the PvP has always been like kind of the afterthought of a lot of the plans that Destiny 2 has gone through. It takes so long to get updated of new stuff, and here you have a game that literally fits that mold perfectly for you. I was in a space earlier, like I think it was like last week. JJ had to jump to it, but I was in a space here and I was just listening to like honestly just regular ass gamers talking about Concord, and it was just like you could tell like half of them really didn't have anything negative. Just like no one really had anything negative to say about the game. That was the crazy part. I was like listening to people who were just saying this game's going to be dead, and I'm really tired of. I'm really sick and tired of the gaming community not even realizing that they're killing games by them pushing those narratives, by them just saying this game's going to be dead this game's dead. It's like it's going to be dead because you guys are all like you're all those ducks from Finding Nemo. You guys are all repeating the same thing over and over again. So if you say it and then five other people were saying it, yeah, meep. You're all meeps. You're all like just regurgitating the same shit. Have like some of them haven't even played the game for themselves, and just because they hear a bunch of other people saying it, then they regurgitate the same thing, and then you're wondering why no one's playing the game. Is because initially, maybe there were a bunch of people who wanted to play the game, or there were a lot of people who thought, I like this game. Like what we said, I think the game's pretty solid. It's a fun time. From what I played, I enjoyed myself. I'm probably going to play the game. But at the same time, it's just like those people might be now like, maybe I shouldn't get it now because it sounds like everybody in the community has just given up on this. They're just not going to play it. So like, is there even going to be a player base for me to play on? But if like, again, like I said, if Sony had been focused on marketing this game towards Destiny players, I feel like a lot of that fan base would want to play this game or try it out. If they were told that, hey, this plays like Destiny 2 PvP, but with half the bullshit removed from it that you get killed from in Destiny PvP, I'm pretty sure I could convince like 9 out of 10 Destiny 2 players to play this game. Off of me.
Yeah, think about it. I don't remember getting frustrated playing. We were just having fun.
I didn't.
It felt balanced.
I didn't get killed by no BS ability. There was no one-shot kill thing that murdered me out of like halfway out of the, halfway across the map. I thought it was really well balanced, and it's kind of crazy when you see like that the throwing knife girl, right? You visually see her, and what do you see? Oh, DEI black woman, right? And I'm like, first we're playing a first-person shooter, but I'm like, even if that is your mindset, if you play this character for 5 minutes, she is so much fun to play from mechanically. And if you're talking about we care about games and we just care about how fun the game is, I'm like, bro, mechanically speaking, this game is a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool, fun mechanical stuff that you can do about it. One of the things like Khalif taught me about the game that I didn't even know about. That's kind of the idea where I'm like, yo, y'all gotta start sharing this stuff to help it stand out more. Because people are trying to say this is just Overwatch or da. But like the idea that every deployable in the game persists in between match rounds, that's really cool. I've never seen a game do that before. That brings like a whole new tactical layer to a game where like if you're playing like a competitive and a round, you know where the objective is going to be, so you intentionally plant all your deployables there, and even if the round's over, you go into round 2 and those deployables are already set up, so you can kind of like lay a line of like deployable like support items to get to that objective. Like that's just some really cool like designs. I'm like, that's some unique design things, but instead we're talking about DEI this, DEI that. The character design's fucking awful for a first-person shooter, which still blows my mind. And I think graphically the game is very impressive looking. I had no issues. I know some of my friends had issues from a technical standpoint with the game a little bit. I had a little bit of frame drops, so I hope that's fixed up. But overall, I think it's a fun shooter. And I'm sad. It's sad that this thing is just going to be kind of like a Battleborn. It's just going to be another game that just gets kicked by the community constantly.
I think it's something deeper going on. I don't know if it's because like global inflation here in the States. It's like election season, but like people are like miserable because like kind of go back to what Watts said with Flintlock. Is this not the game that y'all asked for? Y'all sit and bitch and complain about every game being $70. This is a $40 game doing new, innovative, and fun things. They're dropping content every week for free. There's no battle pass, and you just kicked it. That is getting like, I'm not even on that's kind of frustrating to watch. Like if it's bad and it fails on its own, it's cool. Then you got I ain't gonna say no names because we ain't gonna cloud it out, but I put it in the group chat. Then you got content creators just straight up lying, saying that you couldn't find a match, but then he edited the footage. Like you can visibly see he sped the footage up and said that it took him like 4 minutes, but it really took him like 2. We never spent more than 30 seconds in the matchmaking.
It was literally 30 seconds for like every match.
I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, the gaming community has been infiltrated by people who are just using shock value and just straight up lying for like clout.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because like on your point of it being, isn't this the games that you wanted? And granted, if you play the game and you don't like it, that's fine. That's what we're talking about. We're saying like play the game to see if you like it.
It was a free beta. Like all you had to do was try it.
But this game, like you said, it's $40. There's going to be cutscenes every week to like deepen the world and the characters and your connection to them. There's no battle pass. There's going to be hundreds of items to customize your free gunners. And that's just from playing the game, completing jobs, and leveling up your account. So these are cosmetic. They don't affect gameplay at all. And you're not having to pay extra stuff for it. Now, does that mean that they're going to add like paid cosmetics? Never. No, it doesn't mean that. But we have confirmation that there are hundreds in the game for your $40 that you can earn. So everyone's like, oh, these free-to-play games, they're having skins that are like $100. This game is $40. You get the cutscenes, there's no battle pass, and you have a bunch of stuff in the game already that you can earn.
What I will say, though, is a critique. If the people who do like the game, because everybody that I've seen play it, they seem like they like it. If you genuinely like this game, when it comes out, I do need y'all to stay in the matches. Because one thing I didn't like, it was a lot of crybaby rage quitters. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, the game ain't even out. It's in beta. I'm telling you, esports is ruining everything. You don't need to be an MLG sweat the day the game comes out. Just play the beta. It's meant to be tested. Enjoy it. Stay in the match, because that could ruin the community. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Jay, what you think of the game?
Yeah, I remember when we first saw the previews of the game, I initially said, I was like, yeah, it definitely looks like, Overwatch mixed with Destiny 2. And the only thing, to Ethos' point, it definitely is, more catered to the Destiny 2 audience like that. It definitely is more of the PvP style, the Crucible style with just heroes. With different abilities. So that's the only Overwatch-esque thing there, but it's not Overwatch at all. When we played it, I did generally have fun. And, it took a little bit getting used to and like finding the hero that I enjoyed. So once I ended up getting someone who I meshed with that I could do well with, like we actually, went through and dominated. And to TBH's point, like people were just straight up leaving. I was like, dang, like I didn't think we were doing that, like killing y'all that bad. Like people were legit leaving. So I was like, dang, that's crazy for a beta. And I was one of those people that was like, well, I know that this is supposed to be, Sony's attempt to break back into the FPS market, because they really don't have anything now since Microsoft officially owns Call of Duty. It's like, yeah, they're still letting you play with it, but it's not yours anymore. Like you can't get those exclusive deals anymore. Like that stuff is about to be done. So that's what Sony's argument was from the beginning with Call of Duty. It's like, yeah, you lose that one. What other FPS do you have? So I understand why this game came out, and I hope it does eventually compete with Call of Duty, because like they desperately need something. They needed something for a while. And going to well, actually, I'll say this before I would go into Ethos' point when he was in that space, because I found that very interesting. But the one thing that I didn't like was that you don't regen your health automatically. That's just one little pet peeve of mine, because I felt like when I was winning my gun battles, it was hard for me to stay in there when there were multiple people coming around and actually survive. It was like every time I killed somebody, I felt like I just died immediately, because we had a gunfight and I lost a lot of health, and I'm just trying to find my way to recover. So that was my one gripe. I know that there obviously health items around, and
get a healer
characters that can't help. Yeah, you do have to get a healer, so it does force you to kind of have a healer on deck, which is fine. But still, for me, like a lot of time I do find myself soloing around, so I would like that with everybody. So that was the one little gripe of mine. But going to Ethos' point in the space, when I didn't come in at the beginning, but I saw people, or I heard people talking about, why did Sony make Concord? Why did they literally just asked, why did they make Concord? They felt like there should have been other titles, like nostalgic titles, that Sony should have focused on. And one person said Twisted Metal. And I was like, well, do you know what happened to Twisted Metal? Did you know that they tried to make a live service game and canned it? Do you know that the last game that came out, nobody played it? Like, I love Twisted Metal, and I know that they do have the Peacock series, but Twisted Metal was a terrible example. Someone else brought up SOCOM. That was actually Khalif. He brought up SOCOM. I was like, yes, I agree with that one. But he wasn't arguing against the point of why did they make Concord, but he was just saying in general, like, if they would have chose any title to come back, then it should be SOCOM, because he said it would sell like hotcakes. And I do agree with that point, but I didn't feel like that was really genuine, saying, hey, why did they make Concord? They should have just focused on what the people wanted. But when we make those arguments, it's more of like your own self bias there, like your own bias. Like, okay, you like Twisted Metal, but that's unfortunately not what the rest of the world thinks. So I didn't feel like that was a good argument to make. It's like, hey, okay, you wanted it, and you feel like that it would have been a greater investment, but they look at the numbers and they're saying, hey, people don't care about Twisted Metal like they did back in the day. So why would we focus our resources on this title, rather than, hey, we have these ex-devs from Bungie, let's try to make something, and let's try to break back into this FPS market and make a new IP that's unique. And maybe we'll, get some of that market share. But going back to Ethos's point, maybe they should have shifted who they're actually marketing this game to, because as we had the argument, it's like, well, is it Overwatch? Is it Destiny? Is it its own game? We don't truly know. So maybe just tap into one particular market, one particular subset of gamers, and maybe you would have had a better time with this whole beta situation. So hopefully, again, with the good news about it being $40, no Game Pass, and weekly content, maybe that will change people's minds. So we will see. And like I said, I don't want the game to die. A lot of times when I say that, I can kind of sense when a game isn't going to do as well. I'm really speaking on like the overall standpoint of gamers, because they're very fickle. And going back to what TBH is going to constantly say, 60% of gamers don't play new stuff. So they don't even want to give things a chance. And it sucks to constantly say that. So when I usually say that I don't think a game is going to last, I'm usually talking from their side, not my own personal opinion, because I don't want any game to fail, especially in this industry. I don't want any game to fail. I don't want layoffs to happen. I'm more than tired of that stuff. So I don't want that to happen. So I do hope that they can, maybe they listen to this podcast one day, like shift your focus, and maybe you'll, do a better time once a game finally releases.
And I just want to talk on your point of people being like, why did Sony make this game? They didn't. Firewalk Studios was an independent studio who were already making this game. And then Sony saw it and they were interested. And then they bought them up to be a part of Sony Studios. So, I mean, it's a total thing that makes sense, where you're like, well, why isn't Sony making that? And they could totally either make a new studio to make that, or have a studio that they already have make that. But in Concord's case, this was a game that was already made that you could play, that Sony saw that and they wanted to buy the studio. So.
I think I'm gonna play it when it comes out. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna give it a shot. But I kind of agree with Jay. Like, if you pay attention to the overall sentiment, I'm gonna hope for the best, but I'm not gonna hold my breath, because like it's getting weird right now, man. I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna do my part.
I'm definitely gonna play it, and I will say that I think. Just looking at Concord's Twitter, I think they've been doing a little bit better, because they've been posting some better gameplay clips that show people using like all of the abilities at once, instead of it just being like one ability and the next video. And they also put out an animated video that's showing Itzy, and forgot who the other character was, but it was just like an actual like animated thing that they put out. So I think they've been doing a little bit better. Does that make people buy it? I don't know. Please try it.
Yeah, they gotta spend more time advertising. Because now I think about it, didn't they announce it like a year ago, and then they finally showed the gameplay? It has not been
long. Yeah.
Yeah, they finally showed the gameplay, and then the beta comes out, right? It's a new IP. So yeah, they haven't spent enough time marketing. I felt kind of bad for them, because I seen a tweet like maybe a day or two after the beta had ended. They tweeted, I'm paraphrasing, it was something along the lines of like, who is your favorite character in the game? And then the top reply is, ain't nobody play that shit. And I'm just like, I was just like, God damn, bruh. Like, it's just cool to hate every goddamn thing, bruh.
It really is. Well, that's the thing, you know, everyone loves watching all of the videos that are hating on everything and is super negative, and then that carries on to how people themselves interact with games. And as we know, it was a free beta and not many people chose to try it out. And I do think, you know, it's partly because of, like you said, they announced the game. They literally just showed a ship in space and like a sandwich or something, or some kind of food item. And then we didn't get to see gameplay until very, very recently. So there has not been a good advertisement campaign for this game at all.
It's not just the gaming space, though. I seen a TikTok today of this dude, and the caption was, if Star Wars would have came out today, like how fans like would have reacted. And he was just reacting to the old original trilogy and just like basic stuff like the reveal, like, oh wow, that's Luke's father, so predictable, this movie's stupid. Like, it had me die. I meant to post it on Twitter. I'm like, this is everything, every form of media, bro. But I hope for the best. I hope for the best. I think everybody's just struggling. I think it's more like a
I hope for the best. I think they've really made like a good feeling game there.
Yeah. I think when does it come out? August
23rd?
23rd, it comes out this month. Oh yeah, they need to advertise that.
It's soon.
Especially because that comes out around the same time as Wukong and Star Wars. Yeah, Sony. You guys bitched and moaned you wanted more live service games. Act like it. Speaking of live service games, a new one is on the horizon. It's called Spectre Divide. It is a first-person 3v3 online shooter developed by Mountaintop Studios. The main thing that visually it looks kind of like Valorant with the cell shaded style, and then gunplay wise, according to Ethos, it's more kind of Call of Duty-ish. So if you look at it first glance, it doesn't look really original, but the main mechanic in it that makes it stand out, that's innovative, is it has a mechanic they're referring to as duality, where every player on the field has two characters. You basically get your own shadow clone. So really it's 6v6. And you can throw that clone around, and you can use it to cover your own ass or basically move to different spots and like flank. It looks like it's going to be a lot of cool ways to play the game and make some sweat moves. I guess they recently had like a closed alpha or a beta or something like that, and they allowed people to talk about it. I don't know if JG or Watts played it. I know Ethos did, so I was gonna.
No, I got an invite to play it, but I wasn't able to play it on that one day that they were doing it. So unfortunately, no. But I love the art style of it. The art style is actually pretty cool.
So we know you made a video on it. We don't want to hear it, Ethos. Just act like people haven't seen your video. Give us the 411. Contribute your 75% on Spectre, because this is the new first-person shooter from Shroud. Okay.
Yeah. Give me a second. Computer is like tweaking out. Okay.
Are you rendering a video right now?
No, like it's my Twitter. My Twitter is like, I don't know why. I have like a Twitter tab and I can't find it. And it was just like blaring music out of my earphones. I'm sorry, I didn't hear like the last like 15 seconds of what you asked.
The game, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you
think about the game?
Okay, thank you. I was like, I was like trying to find where the stupid tab was. No, I really like it. I like it a lot. As a person with like a tactical shooter background and also just playing a lot of shooters in general, I like it a lot. It's definitely a game that like I can see myself playing for quite a bit of time and actually like wanting to get good at it. It has a really cool skill ceiling, but I love that the level of entry is way lower, like a lot lower than something like Valorant. But it has been always a big problem is that like when Valorant came out, it's just like me. And like I had to find other people who were into that type of thing because really no one else was like, I'm not trying to learn how this mechanically is supposed to play. And it's weird, right? Like a lot of people play shooters and they expect like, you know, if I ADS or if I do this, the bullet should go exactly where the crosshair is. And when your bullet just skews off to the northwest, you're like, what the fuck? So I can see that could be very like, it can cause a lot of people to just dismiss a lot of games. This game solves that through a couple of simple ways. And I've told people like who just say, oh, this looks just like Valorant. I'm like, no, I was like, people who say that are people who probably have never played Valorant and they just have heard of Valorant or they watch gameplay of Valorant. But I'm like, if you are an actual tactical shooter fan or just like you played a lot of shooters and you have played like CSGO, you've played Valorant, and then you play this game or you play like Apex, anybody will tell you straight up, Apex Legends does not play anything like Valorant. Valorant does not play anything like Call of Duty. Like there's very distinct mechanical gunplay things that cause the games to play different. This game tries to bridge the gap between them, and that's what really has me excited. Like, I think there's enough mastery in this game that even someone like myself who has played like hard, quote unquote, harder shooters, like more hardcore shooters, you still will find like a level of like, I need to still have to learn how to play this game and master it, while still like being able to like pick up your friends who like might normally just play, you know, casual shooters and say, hey, we should try this game out, because you know, you got to use your brain still, but you know, a lot of the brain strategy is kind of like Siege, right? It's about like your placement, it's about using your abilities, it's about using duality, a lot of that. And instead of like you having to now not, you know, think more of just, am I aiming my gun perfectly aligned at their forehead to like blow their head off with one bullet? Like you don't have, you can sidestep that. You can focus on just like a lot of the cool expression aspects of like the abilities and like using your twin, your clone, in very cool, unique ways. I did it a couple times where you know, you could cross each other's sight lines. So if you know like someone's coming down a lane, you can use one of your guys as bait, and so they'll think, oh, it's just him, shoot him. And when they try to peek, you know, you switch to the other body who's watching the other flank and you shoot them and kill them, and they're like, what just happened? So there's a lot of these cool like, you know, gotcha moments where you can like kind of psychologically play with your opponents and make them think, oh, I'm here, nope, I'm over here, because it creates a really cool like I guess kind of how you know, oh, you got bamboozled, like Apex bamboozled. It kind of gives you that cool fun effect. But yeah, art style, they said like it was kind of inspired by like 90s, 80s cell shaded like anime style stuff.
Yeah, I can
like,
see that.
They told me like Ghost in the Shell and a couple of other like Akira were like big inspirations for their style. The game's pretty easy to pick up. They have playtests going on right now. You can sign up, I think, on their Steam page. There's like a playtest thing to do it. It is 3v3. I think that's like one thing I'm like, you know, a lot of people are used to being able to play 5v or play, you know, with like 4 friends or 5. But this game is, they said out of the gate, they are tac shooter fans. Kind of like how Concord is like, you know, they were Destiny devs. Like these guys are like, they played CSGO like actually competitively when they were younger. You know, they're older now, you know, they really were about, you know, they're really about that shit. And one thing they loved is they loved like Halo 3v3, playing Call of Duty Face Off, like where it was just that more intimate, like you and two of your best friends just trying to beat another team of like 3 really close people and having that intimate, like we're better than you type of thing. And I think the game nails it like really perfectly.
I'm excited for this game. 2 reasons. Well, so one, I like the fact that it is a pick up and play. It looked more Call of Duty-ish in terms of the shooting mechanics. And then B, because it's a 3v3 and each person gets 2 characters, when you're playing with friends, that's going to create some good content, because if you fucking suck, you're going to get exposed.
Oh, it's immediately noticeable.
Yeah.
So noticeable.
You died 10 times, bro. God damn, 0 and 10. Like,
it's even more embarrassing where it's like, sometimes you'll trade, right? Like you'll use your first guy as bait so then you can get the kill the second one. But it's very embarrassing when, like, dog, you had 2 lives and you couldn't kill the one guy. Like if he kills you and your
got
clone,
both your dudes.
Like, yeah, like damn, double homicide. like yeah, like it looks, it's a really bad look. So yeah.
And then the other takeaway that I had from this, and I could be wrong, this is just an educated guess, but because everybody gets 2 characters, that means you get twice as much customization. There's going to be skins out the woo-wah, and it's going to be free to play. They're going to charge, they're going to get them $20 Valorant skins are coming.
They are,
and they're inspired by Ghost in the Shell and Akira.
Well, that's the thing. So the devs who worked
The
on
art
this,
style's cool.
they are Valorant devs, Apex devs. Like the main director who I was interviewing, he was responsible for Apex's like kill leader system. So like that entire thing of like showing them on the walls and propping up the kill leader before all the other games did it. Like he was the mind. He was the
I do
thought.
like that.
Yeah, he was the guy behind that. He also was one of the originals who helped with building Valorant. So before they showed Valorant, when they were like internally in Riot starting to figure out what Valorant was, he was one of the head gameplay designers for that. So like he knows his stuff. Like I was talking, there's like even more stuff I was talking to him about. But yeah, he knows his stuff like really well and has really good ideas of like shooter space and tactical shooters. And the best thing too, which I think is great, just like Concord, there's no ultimates. That makes it even better. So all that BS that you play with Apex where somebody rushes you with an ult,
you really got clapped 0 and 10. God damn. Like
all
Yeah.
excuses are gone. You can't say, oh, they ulted me. You can't say they spammed their big ability to kill me. All that, like they were like, we want to make sure skill expression is what wins the game, not you crutching on abilities in order for you to like kill people. So that was very nice.
It's really refreshing to see something, even if something just this small, to innovate. Like, people have been bitching, complaining. And I also feel like there's a power vacuum with first person shooters. Apex shot itself in the foot. I didn't put it on the notes, but like the whole battle pass thing, and then they retracted, and like the numbers are going down. Like, that game.
What did you say about Concord? You said, here's another game, AA, independent studio, has no big publisher. And once again, doing something innovative and new, which y'all always complain about with shooters, doing something different. Are y'all gonna support this? Or are you gonna complain?
I've learned over the past year of really digging into the numbers that people are more worried about being a casual instead of just embrace. Like, it's like almost like a racial slur in gaming. Like, you're a fucking casual, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But stop trying to be a part of all these conversations, acting like you're buying all these games. We got the numbers on y'all now. Y'all not doing it. Jay, what's your first impressions of this announcement of Spectre?
Yeah, I was initially like, hell no, I'm not playing this because it's a tactical shooter and it's from Shroud, so I already knew what time it was.
The guy with the yellow tinted glasses is crazy. That's crazy. The fucking gunner ass glasses, bro. What the fuck?
Man, I'm not a hardcore though. I'm not hardcore when it comes to these shooters. But after he told this, he said, all right, well, the game, the shooting is not like Valorant or CSGO. It's more like Apex. I was like, okay, well, now I think I would give it a chance. And when he started explaining the mechanics, because when we first saw the trailer, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, what do you mean you're in two bodies? Like, I feel like they didn't do a good job of explaining exactly what was happening. I just saw, two bodies, one mind. I'm like, okay, well, I need to see the details on this.
Am I using like two sticks for one character per stick?
Like, what the hell am I doing? So again, this is why we needed people like Ethos to play the game and make a video and explain it. So now that I have a full explanation, I'm like, okay, now I'm excited about it. I was gonna play it anyways, but it's like now it may be a point where if I really enjoy it, that I might get into it and I might continue to play it. So it's going to be very interesting, especially coming up. Cause, like,
it reminds me of Sweaty Halo. I feel like if you were like a Sweaty Halo player, I feel like like it.
Halo's my jam, bro. You already know.
I was like, I feel like Black would like this game. I feel like JG, like, because I remember you guys like more competitive Halo back in the day, and I was like, this feels like a very weird even ground because like there's no sprint. So you can't sprint in the game, but at the same time you get ADS, which was also something Halo players were like, we don't ADS, but it's a weird middle ground. It's a weird middle ground, definitely. And I, from my experience, has been like from playing Valorant for like a long time since the pandemic. It's gonna be weird. Like your first 2 hours playing it, I think even when I was playing with other people that I invited to play with me, we had this like weird issue where it was just like, your brain, you have to rewire your brain because you're so used to playing shooters a certain type of way, and this game makes you rethink everything that you thought about when you're about to engage in PvP, and just like stuff outside of just being able to like shoot while ADSing, and just it's like crosshair accurate. So that means wherever your crosshair is, that's where the bullet goes. 100% accuracy. There's no, even when you move and shoot, the bullets will go. So that means you can still one tap people in the head and kill them. But just like reminding yourself of those mechanics, and just like, I can use my clone to do this, and I can make it do that, and I should, do that, because your clone, I forgot to say this too, your clone can hear, and also another thing that I was going to do this little, I'll give you all a secret piece of tech on the GI podcast. So if you click the reload button and you swap characters, your clone will complete the reload for you. So, or if you're really arming the bomb, right? If you start the animation to arm the bomb and you swap bodies, the clone will finish the arming for you. So you can kind of do this like interesting thing where you can bait stuff out, and you can also like start certain like interaction actions and swap to the other body and still have them completing, even though like you're not in control of that body. So there's a lot of cool little mind games you can
because I saw it in the preview trailer, so the weapon, it has a weapon store like CSGO and Valorant. How does that work? Do the weapons that you purchase go to both, or you have to buy certain different kits for each character?
So they actually, I asked them about this in the interview. I said, so this is very unique. So you know how like when you play CSGO and Valorant, you could pick anything you want, right? So in this game, they actually have specifically tuned the buyout. So when you buy for your character, you're buying for both characters simultaneously, but they have them like the guns are tied together. So like if you buy like, let's say like you buy yourself on let's say a sniper rifle, the clone will have a different type of weapon. They won't both share the exact same weapon.
Is it random?
No, it's specifically locked in. So like they have so it's tier. So they have.
So
like,
you're buying packages basically. One comes with a sniper rifle. Okay.
And it simplifies things too. So the way that they did is, so it's balanced. They did it for balancing reasons because they didn't want it where having a character who has bought 2 ops is disgustingly like hard to like fight against. But when you balance it to say, okay, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and obviously it's the same economy system, right? You get kills, you win rounds, you can access more better weapons. But the thing was like you could buy early on, you could get like one character uses a like a suppressed pistol and the other one uses a revolver, or both of them use pistols, but now you have money to get like equipment and stuff like that. So there's like a balancing play. And then for players who this is what I really love, which I wish Valorant did. If you're a new player who's not used to how economy works and you're just like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, when am I supposed to buy what? They do this very good thing called recommended, where they have save, balance, and full buy, which is basically if you're losing rounds or you're behind, we call it saving. So save your money. So it'll optimize and say you should buy this loadout, and it'll be like this will optimize to ensure you can buy next round.
It gives you a template to work with before you start diving deeper into the story.
Exactly. So it's gonna really help. Like I said, people who are scared or like they tried tactical shooters before, they hated them. This gives them a chance to like. This might be a perfect middle ground for those gamers to find a game that a tactical shooter that finally like resonates with them. That feels good to play.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap
go ahead. They're different game modes. Or is it just
I think it's just bomb, but they told me they're adding more. There's going to be more game modes, I think. So
This is definitely interesting for me because I definitely am more of like I've enjoyed arena shooters or like twitchy shooters where you can kind of just go into a room and be like, I'm gonna go into a room with 6 people and see how many we can kill, right? Yeah. So when I got the email being like, oh, it's a new tactical shooter, I was like, yawn, boring. But when I've seen the gameplay, immediately I was like, well, the shooting looks different. And when I saw them switching between the clone and yourself, I was like, that looks really cool. So seeing it definitely has me interested in trying out the game. And I also like how you're mentioning that if you're planting the bomb and then you switch, you can kind of have your own back, which is nice because in a lot of like these kind of games, you end up just getting pissed off at your teammates because they're not doing anything that you want. So it kind of seems like you can maybe control that a little bit more by having 2 of you. So it's definitely got me interested.
Yeah, that's the cool part about it. Yeah, you can trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
You can also blame only yourself. A lot of times,
acknowledge yourself. Acknowledge yourself.
Yeah,
good.
There are definitely scenarios where it's just like, hey, I need this person to peek with me, but they won't peek with you, or I need them to cover this angle, but no one will listen to you. But it's like, okay, screw it, I'll do it myself. It's the Thanos shit. I'm gonna do everything myself. And the other cool part that I like too is the game has sight lines. So you know how you can't really tell. It's like, what are you looking at? Like, I need you to look. What are they looking at this? Every of your allies, you see like a line from their eyes of wherever their camera's looking. So you know exactly where your allies are looking. So you know who's covering what and who's not looking at a certain angle. So it's pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of thought. Well, Shroud definitely helped. I'll say that they used Shroud as a consultant. He knew his shit. Like however he was giving feedback, there's a lot of things here where I was like, this was very smart. However they designed this or whoever made the calls on this, they were very smart when they did this. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm already trying to wrap my brain around like creative ways to attack. And the reason I asked about the weapon things and how they work is like I'm thinking like there could be a situation where you're running down a lane and you see two enemies coming at you, but they haven't spotted you yet. And maybe there's like a high ground behind you. Like, could you throw your puck up top and then let's say I'm carrying an AR on the first body. Yeah. I throw the puck up top, get my sniper out, and then pop them. I could do some shit like that. Yeah, I'm trying to be a superhero.
For example, like, there's a loadout that's very good. It's the Trident loadout. So there's like a burst AR. It's a burst AR, and then the other guy gets like a SMG. So now you have that. This character handles long range. This character handles like the SMG close range. So you can use yourself to cover each other. Where it's like if you have the short SMG rushing in, and someone from long range is shooting at you, and you back onto a corner, you swap to your clone. Then you bring out the Trident, and you shoot him with it, and then you swap back to the clone.
You got voice chat?
Oh yeah, it has complete.
No, like enemy. Can I talk to the enemy?
Oh, I asked them to add proximity, and they laughed. I said, "Oh, nice." So I was like, "All
Trying to
right."
get toxic, boy.
I said, "Just give me 5 seconds." I was like, "Just do the whole. You ain't gotta do it in game. Just like in between rounds.
In
Just
between
let's talk-
rounds,
Let's
yeah.
talk just 5 seconds of smack, just please."
I
So,
missed
In
that.
between rounds is
Like Gears
good.
of War. That shit was great.
yeah.
Do you know if they plan on bringing the game to consoles, or is it just a PC that they're targeting?
At launch, they said they're just doing PC, but it seemed like they're insinuating, like their plans are to eventually bring this to console at a later date.
Ain't no way
They
it's not
currently-
coming to console. Because
I think
Valorant
it
took so long
should.
because of the shooting, but because the shooting's easier,
Yeah,
I would imagine
easier.
it'll probably come
This
to
game's
console.
way easier to translate, I think, to a controller. There was no controller support in the playtest build that we played. I guess they said they just didn't have it implemented yet. But I'm assuming the game is probably going to be way easier to play with a controller than Valorant. So
I would assume so. Yeah, and then if they can get the controller support, then putting it on console is obviously a
it'll
little bit easier. Yeah, it's good. Sounds good.
Cool. I looked at the Steam page. It doesn't have a release date. It just says coming soon. So I would imagine late 2024, maybe 2025, early. They'll
Maybe
probably
next
open
year.
it.
I think
Yeah.
I think they're gonna. They didn't give me I'm not saying they told me this. I'm just saying like I think maybe they might be targeting this year or early. So see.
Keep an eye on it. It's called Spectre Divide. It sounds really cool. Look up the trailer on
Yeah, it sounds
YouTube.
cool.
Another game, surprisingly, I'm not gonna lie, I have not been very high on this game. Everything that I've seen looked like it was gonna be really mid, but we had a media blitz this week where all the major outlets, including our very own Ethos, got some early hands-on time with Star Wars Outlaws, which comes out later this month. It's a new open world. Ubisoft is touting it as the first true open world Star Wars game, where you play as a smuggler named K.
Ubisoft should just be quiet. Every time they talk about their games,
shoot
I'm
themselves
like,
in the
oh
foot.
my god, please
You gotta add
stop
that
it.
Ubisoft flair to it, man. I was not that interested in this game. I've been saying the only reason I probably played is maybe the story, but the gameplay just wasn't the way. But maybe it was the developer playing it. The previews have come out and it's been getting nothing but positive reviews. People are like, "Wait, no, this is actually fire." Ethos, you actually got to play it. What impressed you about it? What did you not like about it? Give us the 411 on Star Wars.
It's secretly a Splinter Cell game. JG, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It's a stealth
Damn.
game.
In difficulty?
It is an actual, like, I'm not joking to you.
That
There
kind of
was
got me excited.
The level of the Imperial, where you have to sneak into the Imperial space station and do that, I died like 7 times trying to beat that. I was like
Damn.
genuinely.
Wait,
I
hold
got
on. Ethos.
frustrated halfway through it.
Are we talking Blacklist or are we talking Chaos Theory?
Well, I mean, like, let me get it straight. I'm not saying this game has the technical stealth capabilities that like something like Dishonored and old school Splinter Cell has. Blacklist, yeah, close in that area. Matter of fact, you know,
It's more
remember that Mark
stealth action.
film?
Okay.
Yes, it's
JG
definitely
should
more.
be fine.
Well,
Those were the Splinter Cell
fact
games
about
I
that.
like, though.
But here's the
We
thing.
know why.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference, though. You know how like the later Splinter Cell games, they made it where like a lot of times, like even if you got caught, it wasn't the end of the world. Like you just go guns blazing. There are actual parts of this game that say if you get caught, it's game over. You lose. They straight up say you get caught and you got to restart the whole thing. That shit was frustrating because there's a segment I got caught, killed 5.
Hey,
6
hold on.
times,
That counters the argument because one of the things I've seen a lot of the grifters say online in this game is woke. How is a woman doing all this shit? I guess it's not woke because you can get clapped at any time. It's realistic. Like, what
No, you know
She's
what it
being
was?
sneaky. That's how she's
Hey,
taking them all
the
out.
misogynist part of my brain was thinking though when she pulled up on one of the stormtroopers and she knocked him out. The first thing
saw
my brain
that.
said was in my head was, "Oh, a grifter's gonna get pissed at this." Because like, there's no way a woman could knock a man. Like I
refuse to
They were
suspend
more
disbelief.
so like, I heard them saying, do they not know how helmets work?
Helmets work, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
saw
bro,
that.
we're playing Star Wars. We're in space. We have blasters. What the fuck? Are
fucking
we
fighting
talking
Space
about here?
Jesus? Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here,
I'm
dog.
like,
It's a
what are we
game.
talking
Really.
about here? Yeah, the game takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which seems to be a mixed result. Some people are really happy about that. Some people are like, "Oh, we're so tired of this era." So I don't really care. My personal opinion is that era is actually the most boring part of Star Wars out of all, like Old Republic, Clone Wars. You know, High Republic stuff is kind of, we're still in the middle of figuring what that is. But I actually enjoy other eras of Star Wars a lot more than the OG series. But yeah, game's actually a stealth game. Actually, like, you have to sneak around some certain points. It is open world. A lot of stuff. It's a Ubisoft game, so a lot of stuff for you to do. A lot of check marks. Biggest highlight of the whole experience was Sabak. I love Sabak. That It was like, you know how, Jedi Survivor
Sabacc?
had a little chess game? It's the card game that is like in the actual Star Wars universe. Like it's a legitimate, Ubisoft didn't make it. It's legitimately part of the Star Wars universe. But they brought it into Outlaws, and it's basically like gambling. It's like 21. It's like blackjack. That's what I describe it. It's like blackjack, but it's reversed. So you're trying to get your hand to equal 0. So you have like gold cards and like black cards, and you need to make both of them equal 0. And whoever's like has the smallest number to minus both of them that equals 0, they win the game. It's like pure sabacc or whatever. Then you can bet. You can also like unlock like cheats. So you can kind of have your little pal, your little guy, Nix, can like cheat and run over to the other guy and like look at his hand for you. And you can be like, oh, okay, he's capping. He ain't got nothing. And like double down. I played through both of it. They even had like a secret parlor game where you could, find a secret, game, underground like game and play against people in the world. Kind of like in that Gwent style that Witcher had. That was a lot of fun. The actual like gameplay space of like quests and stuff like that, I mean, it's straightforward. I'm not going to sit here and act like this game is revolutionary or it's one of the greatest things. I've never seen a game do this before. It is retreading very similar water. As a matter of fact, I would say a direct comparison I would make is, and I know TBH might get upset by this, but it is like Hogwarts. That is the best way I can describe it, where a lot of people will say, I think you said it before, TBH, if Ubisoft had made this game, people would have shat on it. And I think it's very similar where it's like this game doesn't tread new territory, but because of the universe and the setting that it's in, that's where the uniqueness comes out.
Yeah, I was going to say looking at gameplay of it, the world looks pretty enticing, right? So if you're a fan of Star Wars, I think you're going to enjoy being a part of that world. Because when I saw them walking through the city, I was like, this actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's very, I'd say immersive is the key. Like if you wanted to experience that like Han Solo power fantasy of being like a smuggler, who likes to like walk around and do certain quests and kind of follow your own path. I think that you'll actually end up really enjoying this. I said in my video, like, this is not Starfield. This is not No Man's Sky. This is not you going into space and flying wherever you want. That is not this type of game. This is a story-focused game. This is a game about a power fantasy of becoming this like really powerful smuggler, meeting characters and pulling off like heists that are going to be really cool. I didn't get to play any of the heists. I even don't know. Maybe you guys have heard. I don't even know if the game's going to have like multiple heists that you pull. Like, GTA 5 had that whole like heist thing. I don't know if like that's kind of what Star Wars Outlaws is also doing, where it's like there's going to be pivotal story moments, and that's when you pull off this big heist and you're going to be hiring certain people. But the story, from what I saw, I played it, got to see a couple cutscenes for it. The story had me engaged. I was like, okay, this seems pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to it. And because of the time period, high plausibility, we're going to see probably some very interesting cameos that could pop up here based off of where the game takes place. Wouldn't surprise me if, we see, what Bubba was it? The Hutt, Boba Fett.
Oh, he's already been confirmed. That's one of the games. There was drama around it because one of the Jabba the Hutt missions was locked behind a pre-order bonus or something.
Well, I can tell you off rip is the Hutt cartel is in the game, and they are a syndicate that you can do work for off rip. Like this is probably the coolest. Okay, so this is probably the coolest, unique aspect of the game. So the game has a reputation system that's kind of similar to like GTA. So there's already like a wanted system where like the Imperials will come after you for doing bad stuff. But the game also has a syndicate system. So all the syndicates that are in the game, they have like a relationship with you of I fuck with you or I fucking hate you. And as you do certain missions, there's actually like Mass Effect like choices where they actually have consequences. So they might have you go and do a quest, and you might find another way to do that quest. So you might like go about it one way, but there might be a new opportunity where you could maybe help another syndicate instead, or maybe two syndicates want you to do something. You could decide who you're going to help out, and then you'll piss off other syndicates. So when you help certain syndicates, they'll reward you. So they'll give you access to like exclusive like turf, like gang turf that they own that you'll be able to walk into without being like, shot at. You can get access to like unique weapons, like cool new weapons, perks, armor, like clothing, like new unlocks. Like you can get this by like siding with a certain syndicate. And then reverse, when you piss off a certain syndicate at a certain point, not only are they going to be hostile to you, but they'll actually send assassins out for you. So there'll be like actual consequences as you're in the open world, of like potentially you'll be just mind your own business, and like a syndicate assassin will show up for let's say like the Huts, because you screwed them over a job, so they sent out like a death chip for like your head, and now you got like other bounty hunters coming after you and trying to kill you. So it kind of adds to that dynamic aspect of the open worlds, not including like your fanfare of like walking, going through the open world and a dynamic event happens. Like there was one in my video where I was just driving my speeder and I saw an Imperial cruiser coming down from space, and they were trying to take out like a pirate like base or like hideout, and like you can interrupt that from happening and steal the pirate like the goods before the Imperials can get to it. So yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, all that's cool, but this is a Ubisoft game. How's the AI?
Oh, it's ass. I said it in my video. I'll hold it. It is Ubisoft AI.
Must have been the win.
That is feedback. Yes, it's like these are AI that are like you're gonna notice, unless like again for full transparency, they did say it was an older build, but how many times has that been told to us?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say like that was probably the one negative that I did have, was that the AI sometimes I couldn't tell if the AI knew like if I was detected, or if the AI was like investigating. Like that little like area in between was kind of weird for me to figure out. Also because you're using blaster pistols, sometimes it's kind of difficult to figure out like if I shoot my blaster, is everybody in the area going to hear me or no? So trying to understand how that works. And sometimes like you think like an AI wouldn't be able to detect you, and they are able to detect you. Stuff like that. And just you can like get into a firefight and then go hide and disengage and go back into stealth. But they'll always be like kind of what you said, like, you'll knock somebody out and they'll find the body and they'll be like, somebody's here. And they'll be like, oh, it must be the wind. They'll like kind of revert back to their previous, like what you said, the meme, I'll just go back to patrolling even though my boy's dead. So it's not as complex as something like Dishonored. I do want to point that out. This is not a game trying to be as good and stealth with that many mechanics that like a sim like Deus Ex or Dishonored is, but it is like of like a casual version of it, basically.
What about the space combat? Did you get to touch any of that?
Mm-hmm.
Like the ships, what was that like?
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. It's pretty straightforward. The ships, it felt good to fly. The combat's pretty straightforward. It felt better than Starfield. I'll say that. It's like Starfield, kind of similar, but it's a lot easier for you to lock onto targets, nail them. There seem to be like upgrades for your ship. So there is customization to make the Trailblazer even better and more powerful and get different weapons like that.
Okay. What's that doing for you, Jay? Hearing all the stealth stuff and the things you're talking about.
I don't like the stealth stuff. I said it right now.
I even said I'm sorry, JG. Yeah.
I hope that that's not the majority of the game. I hope that there are going to be other ways to complete your mission. But
3 quests I played, all 3 of them had a moment where it was like you got to use stealth. One of them was like you can go stealth or not, but like 2 of them had a hard like you cannot be detected.
We shall see. We shall see how this goes for me. Because it's not that I'm terrible at stealth, it's that I'm impatient. It's like I don't want to be forced to just be in the shadows and get past it. Otherwise, if I get caught, then I die. And then it's going back to the point. It's like it's Ubisoft too. So you literally just brought up. Sometimes you feel like the AI shouldn't be able to spot you, and then all of a sudden they do, and then you have to start over. Like those are the parts that I hate the most. When the game just screws you over just because of I wouldn't say bad programming, bad designing, but it just happens. So
there was only one time where I felt I got screwed by the stuff where I was like, how did he see? Like no way he saw me. Like there was like one time that actually happened to me, but most of it was like my own fault or me getting into a gunfight and just dying really fast.
Gotcha. I hope that that the choices that you make, when it comes to the syndicate's reputation, I hope that those do end up, playing a more pivotal role, like towards the end of the game. So, because I don't know, like what the actual end goal will be with all of these syndicates, and like, do you just choose one syndicate that like you really really mess with, and that's going to be like your ride or die towards the end? Is it going to be like a full syndicate battle? Like I don't exactly know what that's going to entail toward the end of the game. So I'm definitely interested in that to see like what significant choices that consequences that your choices will make depending on who you end up siding with at the end, or who likes you more at the end.
Wait,
I am curious to see. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is the thing I am curious to say is like how much depth of the choices, like what is actually the result of them. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and think that it's gonna be like as in depth as something like Mass Effect, but I was genuinely surprised to see how many actual like moments there was in the demo that I played that actually had an actual like, do you give this information to the syndicate or do you withhold this information and stay true to your original buyer, stuff like that. And I am curious, outside of just like a bar of like reputation going up and down, I am curious to see like if those like one-off choices actually like change the story some way. So that is what
I'm curious to hear what's the name, because you said you don't, it's not that you hate stealth, you're just impatient. So when you played Sekiro, did you just fight everybody?
No.
Did it bother you when you played it like because it is
No, a lot of the time, if that's like the actual like mechanic, no, I didn't. I just run because it played. Like I'm not a crash out lord. Like I would like no, I'm not a crash out lord. Like I'll actually when it, like you said, when the time comes, like no, in Sekiro, I definitely a lot of times like I make sure that I stealth kill people, so that's not a problem. But it just goes back to again when I'm forced to do stealth when I don't have the choice of stealth or just crashing out. Because I actually remember that conversation when I played Sekiro. And I think Ethos told me, he was like, maybe you'll like this game. He was like, it seemed like it'll be for you. And then when I streamed it, I remember everybody was like, oh man, it's stealth elements. What is JG gonna do? And I was like, I just run. I was like, I killed him. I assassinated him. I was like, it's not difficult for me to do. I was like, I don't just run out, when just to be a bonehead and then just try to kill everybody and just force to fight. So no, it's not that. But again, it just goes back to when I'm forced to do it, and when those elements are sometimes against me in the video game, then those are the parts that I don't like.
I feel you on that. Like the whole stealth thing, I've definitely had games where I'm like, man, why did I get heard one time and I got to start the whole thing again, and there's not a lot of like checkpoints, so it's like a lot of time that you're going back. So I think when it comes to stealth, I do enjoy it. Like when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, I was definitely super stealthy and dishonorable according to my uncle. But yeah, when it's like, if you get caught, oh, okay, fine, I guess now I'll go like guns blazing. I like that. But yeah, when it resets, it depends how they do it, right? It depends what the checkpoints are like. It depends how frustrating it can be. But I can definitely get a little frustrated if it forces it like that.
Since we're on the topic of this stealth, and I just said Sekiro, can I actually give my updated opinion now that I'm much better at from software
I would
games?
love to hear it.
So I never said it was a bad. It's funny. Somebody in the comment section said that on one of my videos. Go back and listen. I've never called Sekiro trash. I actually said it deserved to win Game of the Year. I always said I was bad at the game, but I always liked the game. But now that I'm much better and I understand mechanics better, I still think Elden Ring is better than Sekiro. I still like it more. I do think it has the best parry mechanic still. I'll stand by that. But like the navigation in that game is ass. And I don't find the story very interesting. It's just the combat is fire and the stealth is fire. Like the actual game is fun. But I don't really find the story to be interesting. And the navigation, I don't understand how is Elden Ring a big open world and I'm getting lost more in Sekiro, which is a much more linear game. That confuses me. You gotta go back and forth, back and forth.
You lost a lot.
I hate backtracking. I hate backtracking, bro. That like the way you get frustrated about doing. The moment I gotta backtrack, I get irritated. I'm like, here we go, bro. Oh my god. Then I'm not thinking straight.
Environments again.
It's so funny, and again, I can never be mad at you for your opinion on liking Elden Ring still more. But how are you going to mention the story? Do you actually pay attention to the Elden Ring?
Yes,
story?
I did. I saw you write that in the comments, bro.
Do you actually pay attention?
Yes.
Okay. TBH, give us the TLDR. What's the story of Elden Ring, the DLC?
The DLC?
Yes. Give us
what's the name?
Who's America? Who's running? Who's related to who?
What is the? Give us just. You ain't gotta give us the whole TLDR. Just give us like a little like a TLDR.
You're playing the Tarnish. You entered the shadow of the Shadowlands, whatever the fuck it was called, and Mikola is trying to turn you gay. That's the story. Next topic. Oh my goodness. Moving on to the news section of the podcast. Moving on to the news. By the way, that was a fucking joke. I don't got no problem with gay people. I hate that I have to say that. Like, it's a joke. There's a video that went viral, and they was just like, Mikola turns you gay. It's a joke.
Oh my god, I'm crying, bro.
Freaking moving on to the news section of the podcast. You know, I'm sorry that I have to ruin the mood, but I know we're laughing, but very sad moment this week. The Xbox 360's marketplace has been shut down. So I thought I'd bring that up and ask if you guys had any fond memories of the Xbox 360, the era of gaming. Watts, were you into this or were you a PS3 person?
No, I was definitely on Xbox 360. I think I was big playing Call of Duty around then, and that was like the platform for Call of Duty, you know, unless you want to wait. Was it a month for DLC? Yeah. That sucked. Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
For a bacon skin, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, I definitely played during 360. I definitely played mostly Call of Duty on Xbox. I used PlayStation for like a lot of other games because I've told you guys before that PlayStation tends to have like the single player games that I want to play, and Xbox was like my multiplayer. So Halo, Call of Duty, both those.
I remember the Red Ring of Death. That was the longest 2 weeks of my life. First, it was just
I never got it.
I never got it either.
I never got it. I was very lucky. It was lucky.
I got it one time, and then I played doctor. I played surgeon on my Xbox, and I made it work. I brought it back to life.
Did you do the towel trick?
No, I didn't do the towel trick. You know what I did? I actually put a damn cooler in that joint.
Oh,
you put it in water?
You were not kidding about surgery.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I sure did.
Exactly. It was like the part, right? You could take off the back of it and then you put it on the back of it. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Damn.
A friend of mine did that. I remember that. Yeah.
I did the towel one where I think you had to like heat it up in the microwave and then you wrapped it around your Xbox and then it overheated the components and it just started working. Like you stressed it out so much it came back to life.
Like it sounds like it makes no sense, right? Like
it worked.
When you make it hotter, like it makes no sense.
Freaking, yeah, 360 is one of my favorite eras. That's one of my favorite consoles, despite the issues. And that 2 weeks being the longest of my life with the Red Ring. Imagine trying to convince your parents who know nothing about tech that look, if we send this email, they're gonna send us a free box. I swear it's free. You just have to listen. That was a long conversation.
I thought it was crazy when she saw me working on my Xbox. She's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like I was telling the chat that too. I was like, "Damn!" Like, well, now that I think about it, like fond memories. I'm like, "Damn!" The Xbox 360 era definitely was my favorite era. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's how we literally met. Like that's how I met TBH. We started playing Black Ops 2. Like it was just crazy.
Man.
Like just being in the dorm room, like playing Halo together, Call of Duty. Like it was, man. Like,
I love Black Ops
before everybody was being a content creator, so people would actually say their true feelings on the mic. It was a good time.
You know what as well? So when I was starting my YouTube channel, I would message people from the game and say, "Oh, I'm probably gonna make this game into a video. Like, if you want to check out yourself in the video, you know, check out the channel. Check out the channel." I mean, because no one did it, no one minded. They were like, "Oh yeah, cool, that sounds great," because no one was doing it. So it worked. It worked.
That was back when Xbox was innovating. Freaking, that's when Forza was still new. Halo was still fresh. Gears.
Gears, man.
Yeah.
People forget Mass Effect was an Xbox exclusive. Like they had the bangers, bro. They had the bangers. Freaking, this GameStop put out this funny tweet too. I don't know if y'all saw this.
That was crazy.
They replied to it. I bet y'all wish that y'all bought physical copies now. I'm like,
I refreshed that tweet 5 times. I was like, there's no way this is the official account. I had to double check. I was like, this has to be one of those parodies. It was bro.
They definitely
GameStop. Y'all funny, man. No, I know that y'all talking. Y'all stole everybody's games and gave us $5.
Yeah, you stole all of our games, all of our used games.
Freaking go to GameStop. It ain't nothing but 360 and PS4 games. So I don't even know what y'all talking about. Y'all ain't got none of the new stuff.
Nothing.
We lost her camera before we go any further. Before I keep talking.
This is what happens. Bella's tail comes on in front of the camera, and
I will keep it going. I just wanted to make sure. I thought we were gonna have to stop for a moment.
It never comes back. It never comes back. There's sometimes that the camera's just like, nope. I'm a tail only camera now.
Minor false alarm.
False alarm. We're fine.
But yeah, Xbox 360 era was great. I mean, I owe that. I think I started with a 360. Yeah, because I remember some of my first reviews were Mass Effect 3, Arkham City. I think those are 360 games. I'm old.
Playing on firing range and Call of Duty.
with a
Remember the Hopage?
Yeah, the Hop
Yeah.
HD PVR.
Oh, man. The 20
Dazzle,
freaking wires you need.
Yeah.
Didn't even have 1080p. It had 1080i, I think.
1080i,
yeah.
720p was the way to upload and record.
I was
Mad at
playing
myself.
on I was playing on a couch. It was pretty far away from the TV. So I had like the TV and the Xbox was hooked up to the Hopog, which was
Nice.
then hooked up to like closer to a laptop, and I had like a wireless mouse.
Yeah.
Man.
I feel like
We struggle, dog. Y'all know.
It
y'all
was a
know the-
struggle.
No idea. Do you remember like how somebody would bug out and it would like not record or it would like freeze and you'd be like, crap, and you have to unplug it and plug it
Yeah.
all back in to get it to run.
And I had a 0.8 upload. So if I wanted to upload a video, I had to do it
All
the night
night.
before.
Oh,
Yeah.
you probably
Jeez.
shit too back then.
And my laptop sucked, so I'd also have to do that. Like
Also.
every
Rendering would be
night.
all
10-minute
right.
video took 8 hours for me.
It
8
took
hours
so long,
upload.
dude. It
8
took so long.
hours.
now you can just stream directly off the console. They don't even understand. Like,
Crazy.
get clips.
You guys
right
have
off the
no
joint.
idea.
Freaking the 360. Yeah, it was a good era, man. It's a sign of things are just moving along. I still feel like Microsoft is chasing that success. Like that was their glory days, and I feel like
Yeah.
to some degree Microsoft has had bad karma ever since when they named it the Xbox One instead of the 720. It's been downhill.
True.
Earth 2 would have been 720. Version.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
now I don't even know what the name of the newest console is. I'm like, what are we? It's like
We're on
the X, the
Series.
S, the one, the
Series.
Series, like, come on, bro. Y'all got to come up with better names, bro. Do you think for the next Xbox it's viable for them to call the 720, or like they would have to
Yes.
let that go?
Name it the 720.
do it.
They're
Do it.
done. They can't.
Say it's
they
a return
can't
to form of
anymore.
the Xbox 360.
We're back.
It would be nice. But I
That
don't
would be
think
that's a good advertising campaign.
Then they'll like
I
do
like
like
it.
limited time, the day ones. They'll actually bring back the old school design of the Xbox 360 controller, and you'll get that with the console. That'll be fun. I love that. That controller was one of the greatest controllers of all time. Oh my god, I went through so many of those controllers because they were just so good.
Still is, yeah, I
It's
agree.
goated. Yeah, it's
I
goated.
still think it is. I like the series. This one, I think
It's just an iteration of the
This one's
360.
good.
To me, the
Yeah,
Xbox,
it's
the
good.
new one is
Yeah.
new one is just a iteration. It's the 360
Yeah.
controller.
the one they made for the Xbox One was kind of like you feel like you're doing a little too much, but then they went a little bit backwards with the S and X to make it like closer to the 360. But I think from a design standpoint, button standpoint, I think that's easily top 3 best controllers of all time. Like
Oh yeah.
for shooters, it is because of that controller that anytime I pick up a PlayStation controller, I just go ugh. Like every time I gotta play a shooter with a PS5
Facts.
or a PS4,
Facts.
I hate it. I fucking hate. I don't like the triggers. I don't like the 360 was the best FPS controller. I will die on that hill. It was the best, no doubt.
It was a good controller.
Except that D-pad, that shit was ass. But
A lot of devs still use it, right? When they're making games, they still use the Xbox 360 controller.
I just seen a IG reel. Somebody modded their 360 and they have every game on it, and like it's just like a library. I'm like, that's crazy.
Damn.
The things you can do, and they stopped updating it. It's just a shame that this news came out right after they shut down the 360 servers. And this was an article that Watts put me on recently. We're sitting here gushing over the Xbox, but apparently nobody needs the platform.
No, I don't need that.
So China Joy 2024, which by the way, I'm gonna give Ethos his clout because I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago you said on the podcast the next forefront for gaming developers was China, and like it's coming to fruition. Like a
Dude.
lot of big games are coming out of China now.
China Joy, like I watched it last year, and there was a bunch of games that I was super interested in at China Joy, and we've seen it a lot. We've seen a bunch of trailers coming out for Chinese games, and they're gonna be doing some good stuff.
This is
They're gonna be doing some good stuff.
This is the second time I've heard of China Joy because I heard it last year. So I'm going to assume this is like their E3 or Summer Games Fest in China. And they were just showing off like a bunch of different games. And basically a bunch of developers got interviewed. And the gist of the article is that in the midst of those interviews, they were saying that PlayStation has been supporting them. Although there's no exclusivity, they've really been helping with them optimize as well as like PC. But basically Microsoft has been kind of quiet in terms of like supporting developers coming out of China. And when asked why his studio doesn't want to release the action game on Xbox, specifically Phantom Blade Zero, he replied, "Nobody needs this platform." So they
I don't know if it's like a mistranslation or something. It's just so direct of like nobody needs Xbox.
Well, because one day I do want to go to China, and for one of the videos that I've watched, like people that travel there, apparently like Chinese people are very blunt like that. Korean people too. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't a mistranslation. It might not even be any malice behind it. Like, it's just a cultural thing. Like, they might just be like more blunt, basically.
Yeah, they're just being honest, right? Of like, hey, PlayStation is supporting us with like testing and dev kits and getting us ready for PC and PlayStation launch. We don't need Xbox.
So then the question becomes, let's act like this statement isn't a mistranslation and it actually is true. Why do we think Microsoft is not fully supporting Chinese developers? Ethos, you're a developer. What is not?
They can't support their own developers. What are we talking about?
Okay.
Not wrong.
They tried to open a Japanese studio and shut them down.
Yeah, they said they needed a Japanese studio. They had one that had an award-winning game. What did they do? They shut it down.
Yeah,
I don't fucking know.
You know the worst part is, I read an article. I didn't put it in the notes, but specifically, they interviewed one of the higher ups at Microsoft, and they were asked why Tango Works was shut down if Hi-Fi Rush was successful, and they said it was a logistics issue, meaning that I guess they're based overseas or something like that, and like most of their studios for Microsoft are like on the West Coast, so like they said it was hard to like collab, and I'm like, okay.
They're not Zoom.
As somebody, I was saying in the chat, I was like, yo, okay, if G4 had the money and they cut a nice check for me to move from the Florida to LA, they paid for all that. I have a hard time believing Microsoft can't move that studio over to closer to Seattle or something. Like I was like, that sounds kind of cap to me.
Here's the other thing too, which I call cap on that too, is like you're a multi-billion-dollar company. You can't tell me logistics is your problem because like there are studios who are fully remote. As a matter of fact, I was talking to the Spectre Divide devs. Their whole studio was fully remote. They built that entire game. They started in 2019. They did it through the entire pandemic, fully remote, people all around the world, and they could do that. And they're an independent, separated studio. So you can't. I just don't buy that.
It's weird because I know so many people as well who are like they talk to Japan all the time, and like that's just the schedule that they're on. They are on a schedule because they have to talk to people in wildly different time zones. So and like they wanted a Japanese studio. You know what time it is in Japan? Why are you shocked?
Right.
Like guys, we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's been a long time. Like Microsoft just has never had a good relationship with anybody on the East. Like we're talking about Japan and Korea. Like
they really haven't.
We get to China, they just haven't. And I truly don't. I mean, we've been literally through. I mean, I hate to say it, but Microsoft, the Xbox 360 era was a dude bro era. Like we did go through a lot of dude bro games, and unfortunately, it just didn't resonate with the Eastern world. I mean, it is what it is. They just didn't have those games that the Eastern world just truly wanted to play. So, and you know, was it to Microsoft detriment? Maybe, but I mean, we're not going to say that like people like Nintendo, like they've had those, it was like the inverse, right? Like Nintendo didn't have a good relationship with the Western world. Now more because Nintendo was just stubborn, you know, they want to do whatever they want to do. So when it comes to third party games, like they just didn't have those good relationships with the people in the West, but you know, they still came out with their own games. And I feel like Microsoft, again, just kind of maybe just got too cocky and felt like, hey, like we don't really need you all on the East in order to sell. And you know, for a while that was true, but now we're getting to a point where Microsoft didn't have enough studios and now they just gobbled everybody up, and you gobbled everybody up and now you didn't know how to manage them, and now we're at a point where you shut down studios as soon as you buy them. So now we're just going back to square one. Like you're buying all these studios on the East as well, and now you can't support them, and those games aren't coming out that would appeal to the people in the East. You buy a studio on the East and then you can't even appeal to them, and then they end up shutting down. So it's terrible. They just don't have a good relationship with them at all.
Yeah, I think some of it is just arrogance. I think because of Microsoft. Everybody knows Microsoft, obviously, for Windows, and because they penetrated pretty much, like, I think last time I checked, like 98% of computers in the world. They thought that was going to translate into video games, failing to realize by the time, because there was a world, kids, where Sega made consoles. By the time Microsoft got into the console race, I think the Dreamcast was still around. It was on the way out the door. Then you had the PlayStation, you had the Nintendo. At least for PlayStation and Nintendo, they had already been in the gaming business for like 30 years, I think. And then PlayStation like 10 or 15. And then those come from Japan. Those are legacy platforms. And then, of course, you have like, you're going to have like country pride too. You're probably going to want to support what comes out of your nation because it supports your economy. They probably just didn't think too much about it and just assumed like, oh, we're Microsoft. We're finna come in here and do this thing. And they just haven't really still figured it out. I think they need to put more effort towards it. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I think the Xbox has way more potential than what they're doing right now. I think they do need more JRPGs. I don't know why they haven't been able to figure it out.
It is unfortunate because like there's obviously a lot of people who just have Xbox. I have someone in my community who's like they were an Xbox gamer and recently they got a PlayStation because they're like, man, all these games are not coming out on Xbox and they don't have a PC either. So if you're just choosing between two consoles, it's like, well, Black Myth Wukong isn't launching on there right away. Phantom Blade Zero isn't launching on there right away. You've got all the PlayStation exclusives. Like, it's unfortunate.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Before I got a PC, like I feel like at this point, if you don't have at least a PC and really not even an Xbox now, if you don't have a PC and at least a Switch or a PS5, like you're missing out on a lot of stuff. Like I commend the folks who like just refuse to buy anything Sony, like never owned a Sony console, or you haven't owned one since like the PS2, and you just had a PC and you were a PC gamer for at least over a decade. And you've been waiting on these exclusives from Sony to come to the PC. Like it's been a long time. They're finally getting around to it. But like, just imagine just not having a PC in that equation now in 2024. Like you're missing out on a lot of shit.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, Last of Us Remastered, Last of Us Remastered, PS5, Last of Us 2, The Last of Us Remastered, The Last of Us Season 1, Last of Us Season 2, Last of Us 3 Remastered. Like, come on, guys.
Oh, man.
It's Spider-Man 2 Game of the Year. Like,
Remastered.
Missing out on a lot over there.
Okay, not the last 5 years. All right, not the last 5 years.
Maybe the PS2, PS3 era. I don't know about this new era.
Waiting. Bloodborne. One day that'll happen. We're still waiting.
Kai's gonna get it for us, man. Just wait.
Yep,
If Kai gets it for us, bro, I'm telling you. If because of Kai, we get Bloodborne Remastered remake. My utmost respect.
Hey, I stand on it. I'm not playing that game. Like, God bless his heart. I'm not playing it. That shit runs sub 30. No, thank you. If they remaster it, I'll play it.
My eyes hurt.
The funny part is, it doesn't even need a remaster. Just port it on PC. And you'll get more frames.
I just need 60 FPS. Yeah, that's all.
I just need 60 FPS. I'll play it. It looks fine.
I don't know why Sony doesn't want to. Like in the recent FromSoft interviews around Shadow of the Erdtree, like Miyazaki was like, I can't say that I want it because I'll get in trouble, but I could say that a lot of people in the studio are very much so wanting Bloodborne on PC or a remaster or a remake or something.
I'll tell you what happened. Somebody lost that hard drive.
I think they lost it, dude. I really do think so. I think they lost
the original files, and or for some reason it got corrupted, and they can't access those game files.
You can't rule that out. That happened with Mass Effect's DLC on the Legendary Edition. You can't rule it out.
That's what they told us about ME1, that there was like content that they literally it was lost to a hard drive somewhere when somebody left the company and took it with them.
Because it makes no sense, right? Especially now after like the success of Elden Ring, people want Bloodborne. So everyone's like, why? And it's FromSoft has no control over it. So I guess they'd have to do a full remake.
Yeah, that's probably why it's taking so long. They're probably starting from absolute scratch.
Is a goddamn shame. I want to pick y'all brains on this one. So an article recently came out. It's been revealed by Activision that they secretly experimented on 50% of Call of Duty players by decreasing skill-based matchmaking. And what their studies determined, they published a 25-page document. They found that players like skill-based matchmaking, and the things that y'all say on Twitter, they said they're calling cap. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about this. Specifically, let me give you the actual quote right here. The experiment ran in Modern Warfare 3 in early 2024. So this is up-to-date data. Discreetly, Activision toned down the skill-based matchmaking for 50% of players in North America on the Modern Warfare 3 population. The results, over 90% of players with toned-down skill-based matchmaking played less Call of Duty after the change, with the top 10% of skilled players not being affected. The paper goes on to confirm what has, to me, always been the most obvious reason to have skill-based matchmaking. Random matchmaking primarily benefits really good players and disproportionately sucks for average skilled players. Basically, the gist of the document they found out is that when you get rid of skill-based matchmaking, it fucks over the average player, and then what happens is the average player doesn't want to play anymore, so they have less people on their servers, less people buying things, and then all that's left is nothing but sweats on the game. And this document, I have some questions about it, but if it is accurate, because I don't know if you can trust somebody who did their own internal investigation, but if this is true, they're not lying. It's just going to help push my agenda that MLG gaming has ruined everything. What do you think, Ethos?
I made a video about this, and yeah, this is what I said. This is what I've been saying for a while. It was, I was like, bro, it's a video game. Y'all gotta lose it. And you know, some of the reactions that I got to that video was, it was borderline like conspiracy theory, which I'm not even gonna call them tinfoil hat like crazy people, but it was to the point where they were just like, no, it's not the skill-based matchmaking. It's Activision has another system that's manipulating players into playing the game for longer and engaging into it by making you pay more. And I'm like, it's kind of insane. I can see how maybe there's some, and they're like, oh, well, there's ex-Activision employees, and they said that they came out, and I'm like, they're like, yeah, they waited their NDA out, and now they're saying that like Activision. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's any stretch of the imagination that Activision 100% has something in their back end, some sort of way that they're dictating how players are to further enhance the retention levels of players. That's how every live action game or live service game is going to function. They want to optimize how long they can get players to play the game and play it for as long as humanly possible. Because the longer you stay on the game, the more you're playing it, which means the more popular the game is. And then on top of that, that means also the more possibility that you might buy something out of the game, so that they can, you know, substitute the cost of building the game, paying for it, keeping it up. But in total, like, it did bring back something from just, I think, a fundamental level that I've always felt in the back of my head was always true. Because like I would hear this complaint, and I was always in the Call of Duty community for a long time, and that was a constant thing of the matchmaking's ass. I got to sweat every single time. It's like, maybe you're just either not that good at the game, and that's just the honest to God truth, or you are very good at the game and you're just upset you're fighting people who are also just good at it.
Ding, ding.
And that's just what I think. Even if I accept and say, okay, Activision does have this thing that is making you play people who are of their skill level, and that this document's totally bullshit. Even if I give you that, at the end of the day, the question still becomes, if I remove this system and I remove this other system, does the result of what the document's saying, do you think that is not true? And I think 90% of the people will say, no, that seems, logically speaking, that seems to make sense. That if we take across engagement numbers, something like that, just from a fundamental level of skill, of just players being skillful, by letting your top percentage of your best players basically ravage the rest of your player base and let them feel good about themselves, that literally that percentage of your player base is like less than 5%. I think Call of Duty is like what, like 10% or less than 10%, that you're going to literally help, or not even help, but satisfy the needs of 10% of your player population over 90% of your other player population who's probably playing the game. Who knows if they're maybe not playing the game as much as the sweat is, but at the same time, they're probably either paying more for the game, they're either buying more stuff out of the store, or in general, there's more people playing the game because that 90% is your player base. So you kind of, it might suck for you being a better player, but logically, yeah, I think the best interest of, yeah, I don't want my game to die is I want to make sure that 90% of my player base stays behind. And if it's between pissing off the 10% of the sweats who are pissed at me that they have to fight for their lives every game, or the 90% of players who are just getting dumpstered, I'm going to pick the 90%. It's just, there's no logical explanation about why I would ever take the opinions. I agree with you, TBH, why I would listen to MLG players for controlling the matchmaking or the balance of my game over the 90% of the other players who, aren't going to ever experience that high level of gameplay. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, when I never had any data to back it until this article had came out, but like just from like my educated guess and looking around, I never heard anybody bitch and moan about skill-based matchmaking until like a few years ago. And when I would look around in the greater gaming space, it was always MLG sweats tryhards. I even asked my Twitch chat when I read this article on stream, I say, keep it a buck. Don't let me, what I say, have to. Do y'all care about skill-based matchmaking? It was an overwhelmingly no. And I think the reason being is because most people, when they play the game, at least for me, when I hop on Call of Duty, I have a good time. I'm playing against people who are a similar skill level.
You're ass.
Yeah, I'm ass, and I'm okay with that. I'm average. I'm okay with that. It's a casual game, bro. We hop on, we play 5 matches. As long as I win like 2 or 3, I had a good night. I don't give a fuck. And I think that's the experience for most people. The problem, and this is why I said you got to be careful with listening to these pros. They're good at the game, but they're, and this is not even a gaming thing, most people are not capable of thinking outside of themselves. What benefits the greater good? The needs of the many will always outweigh the needs of the few. So a lot of times when they bitch and moan, they do this in the 2K community too. They'll cry about something that specifically affects them, then the developer will patch something that ruins the game for the rest of us. So just be careful with it. I'm leaning towards, I think this study is accurate. It could just be kind of hard to trust it because I'm like, it's an internal study. Like I would like to see like an independent study. Yeah, like you don't hire yourself to study yourself. That's kind of weird. What do you think of this all though, Watts? What do you think?
So this has obviously been a thing that's happened a lot in Destiny as well, but like any game, especially shooters, because you only like the hard thing with shooters is that the only way that you can make someone feel good about themselves is if they get a kill. It's not like you're playing League of Legends, right? And you manage to secure an objective or you manage to do a myriad of things. It's like you only have one choice. Can you kill people? So this has always been such a hot topic. And I think for me, through going through Bungie, like trying a bunch of different skill-based matchmaking stuff, it's more so about how it's implemented, because I've always been a proponent of, I don't want to play someone who has never touched a first-person shooter in their life. That doesn't make me feel good to shoot those guys. So I think having loose skill-based matchmaking to where it's protecting outliers from each other and the connections can still be good, I'm all for that. Because something that we found when Bungie put in super strict skill-based matchmaking was that connections were just ass. They were just really, really bad. And there's nothing, I would rather get dumpstered than not be able to shoot someone because they're teleporting around the map. So that's always my thing, is like, I do agree that Mark Rubin, who makes X Defiant, where he was like, I think that having variety in your matches is important. I don't want to stomp all the time. I don't want to get stomped all the time. I like having those super close matches. When it's just one of any of those things, I just get bored. It's not the reason that I play PvP games is for variety. And if I'm just experiencing like the same loadout, the same type of movement, the same way that a match plays out, it's just not very interesting. So I think skill-based matchmaking is important. It's just about how you implement it, and you can't have connections being really bad because of it. And I think you need to enable matches to have a good amount of variety. And it's fine.
What do you think, Jay?
Man, Watts was spitting on that one. She hit the nail on the head. Skill-based matchmaking has been an unfortunate talking stick. It is kind of like how DEI is now, right? Like everybody, they just keep talking about it just because it's a buzzword.
The DEIs are responsible for skill-based matchmaking.
No, wait. No, they're not Ethos, because Microsoft laid them all off. Well, come on now.
But they were.
Like
No.
They did the damage and then ran away.
They
ran away. Now they can turn it off.
So yeah, it's a weird buzzword, and all y'all hit the nail on the head that like it's mainly like the minorities of the esports community, MLG community that has been talking about this, because like I said, I had no clue what skill-based matchmaking was. You know, if nobody ever told you, you wouldn't even know that it's in the game.
Think about it.
No clue.
Did y'all ever hear that in the because we just talked about the 360 era? Did y'all ever hear that when we were playing Modern Warfare 2? No,
never.
You want to know?
Apparently, it was looser then, according to like the people who were working on COD. Then they were like, it was skill smashing was always there, but it was looser than what Call of Duty has done in recent years.
It felt like it, because I was literally about to bring up the point. You remember back in the day where
Christmas
everybody
nukes?
was playing Call of Duty, getting nukes and getting those 100 kill game. Who can get the most kills in a single match of domination? So. Yeah, pub stomping was 100% the thing. That wasn't, we weren't really worried about esports people and MLG people back then. It was like the casuals, but they play one game hardcore, and it was that, and then one game was Call of Duty all throughout, those eras. But that's what we were worried about back then. So like that was, it was a little toxic, but they only cared about pub stomping. So we can tell that skill-based matchmaking was there, that it was definitely looser, because you were were getting literal bots. It will be no way that people will be getting these 100-kill games and all these nukes if you weren't facing bots. If you were facing people at the same skill level as you, no, you wouldn't be pulling that shit. You would be sweating.
And you wouldn't be excited for Christmas either. Because there would be no Christmas news.
Oh my God, Christmas news. Everybody was waiting on that. So yeah, back in the day, that was definitely a thing. But now that, esports and MLG is, it's very prevalent now. Now, skill-based matchmaking is apparently a problem, and they feel like it's too strict. And like I said, I've never really cared about it. And I feel the same way as Watch. Like, I do want like a little bit of both. Like sometimes, I do want a pub stomp just to feel good. Like, hey, I got a 30-kill game, a 40-kill game. Like, it does make you feel good. It gives you that little dopamine hit. But sometimes you do want to, get into an intense match that is like a 2 or 3 point difference. And you're like, man, like that makes you feel good too. Like your team, pulled through the stops. It was going back and forth. So I do want a little bit of both as well. But to be honest, like I said, if people weren't talking about it, I wouldn't even have noticed it's there. To me, it's invisible. Like sometimes you get those games where it feels like you're facing bots, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're getting people who are a little bit better than you, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It is what it is.
It's no way for me to prove this. This is just like a gut feeling, really. But I've noticed it's not just the pro players either. Something tells me another issue is because people, there's no way for me to prove this because people will never admit to this. But like, at least on the content creator side of things, people love to be able to put in the title of their YouTube video, dropped a sick 50 bomb. And like, I think what's happening is they're not able to drop 50 bombs on the server anymore. And now they're on Twitter. So, see, skill-based matchmaking is a problem, trying to make it seem like it's the game when really they just want to pub stomp so they can get the clicks and the views and look like a pro player too. Which, once again, the needs of the many will always outweigh the needs of the few. They don't think outside themselves. I think that's an issue too.
It's still there. Yeah, it's still there to an extent. Like I said, not as much as it was back in the day. But what I was going to say is it just feels like it's just this invisible thing. Like I don't really care either way, whether this is a thing or not. Like I feel like there's going to be no studio, no developer, no publisher that's going to be able to get this 100% right for everybody.
Right.
Like it's like it's going to be too tight or too loose. Like I feel like there's no real good middle ground for everyone to just be satisfied. So it is what it is. It's just going to be a constant conversation, but I don't think that anybody's going to be able to get this 100% right. So we're just going to have to deal with it.
Just going to have to deal with it. Like the next thing we're about to talk about, GI, it's shutting down. We're not talking about us. We're talking about Game Informer. We're talking about Game Informer. When I think of gaming magazines, there's two things that come to mind: Nintendo Power and Game Informer. And depending on who you were, one is either 1 or 2. And I grew up a Nintendo kid, but I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I read Game Informer more, just because you got it with like the GameStop premium program or whatever they had. You get like 12 months free if you like signed up for it. So like I would get it shipped to my door and I would read all these things. But yeah, after 33 years, they announced that they are shutting down. And the other reason I brought this up, kind of like the 360 stuff, just to reminisce a little bit, like iconic covers. For me, it's kind of sad because it's like, hey, people are losing their jobs, but also it kind of marks the end of an era. Kind of what we were talking about earlier with like all these gaming grifters. One thing I did really like about Game Informer is I felt like they just kind of stuck to reviewing games, previewing games, talking to like developers, and it was like real journalism. They was asking good questions. It was a really good magazine that I would read cover to cover. I would take it to school. What's the name? So like it kind of feels like, damn, like a little bit of the now in this era when everything is sensationalized headlines, it kind of feels like the old guard is like dying. Did anybody feel any type of way about the original GI?
Sad, man. It's sad. Like I said, everybody went to GameStop back in the day, so I feel like at one point or another, everybody got a subscription, whether you wanted it or not. They talked you into getting it.
That or you was pre-ordering Madden, bitch.
That too, yeah, pre-ordering stuff. So yeah, I think at one point or another, everybody at least got one of these Game Informer magazines. Y'all remember like the Gears of War 2 covers? Like I think that was iconic for me. Like seeing the Gears of War 2 cover. look up, because they had multiple ones too. When those games were coming out, so like they really did have like some very, very interesting and like, you know, eye-popping covers for Game Informer. Like, and this is the longest running gaming magazine. Like, just the fact that they lasted like 33 years that's very
crazy.
very, very impressive. And it was outside of Tech TV and G4 TV. I mean, this was my original like place to get my gaming news. Like, I didn't really know how to get my gaming news any other way. Like, before the internet really, you know, started popping off. So this is how I found out about new games that were coming out. This is how I got my cheats at the end of the magazine. Like those were cool. Like, so I definitely enjoyed those moments, and it was a huge, you know, chunk of my my childhood, my teens growing up, just looking at these magazines and getting the news, getting the scoops.
That's how I found out about Jack too. That I think the most iconic cover for me is the Arkham City one, the all white with Catwoman. That one was fire.
Yeah. Their covers are so good. I was going through, obviously people have been posting like their favorite covers, and I'm like, man, these are all so good. And they're even now, even though, you know, you can go on the internet, if there was a game that they had access to and they were doing a cover story for it, I would go and buy the magazine so that I could have that cover. So I did that with Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter Iceborne because they covered that. And I saw that some employees were saying that they were about 70% done with their next cover game, and it was looking to be a banger. It makes me wonder if it was Monster Hunter Wilds, because we're going to be getting information about that soon, and they've historically had access to it. So it's super sad. And I think the thing that makes me like extra super sad about it is they just took down all the articles from the website. You go to the website now and it's just them telling you that it's gone. So all of the people who they didn't find out until they close it down that they were closing it down. So if you didn't have your articles anymore from like 30 years ago, you have no way to get them back.
Yeah, that sucks when you just get treated like a number like that. Freaking I hate when that shit happens. Yeah, I read the same thing. Like, apparently some employees, like half of them didn't even know because they weren't even on social media. So like they were still walking around the office or whatever.
Why are they still doing this? Like, come on, it's 124. Why are you still doing this though?
All the time. There's got to be a like an actual reason, because every time you hear about layoffs or closures, they're like, I didn't know until I saw it on Twitter. I didn't know until I couldn't log into my email. I didn't know until the door wouldn't open.
Like, have the decency to like have a call, even though the calls, like, people will have calls and they're still terrible as well. Like, I understand that, like, you know, layoffs are tough or just shutting down.
We're not doing well financially. That's all you have to say. People want it. They won't like it, but we know, because I'm pretty sure they knew. Magazines have been out of style for a while.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, damn, like, it has to be a better way to let your staff know that you're closing.
I will say this much: gaming preservation applies to magazines too. Those Nintendo Power magazines are worth a lot of money. I looked it up the other day. Issue 1 of Game Informer is going for $1,000 on eBay. So if you got them joints in like good condition, you better hold on to them. They might be worth some money in a little while. Which is crazy to hear, but yeah, it's a piece of gaming history. So
it is, yeah.
Hopefully, the people that got laid off, they get back on their feet. And also, this is another sign too, because for those unaware, Game Informer was a subsidiary of GameStop. They own them, and I feel like every 6 months we read an article about GameStop is about to go out of business. The fact that they just let go of their media division, that says to me like they're hurting for cash.
That's why when they were on Twitter being like, oh, don't you wish you got physical? I'm like, bro, you just shut down. Like,
right, it's the room GameStop. You're trying to make a joke.
Be like, it's you that doesn't have the money.
It's
like,
Jesus.
I was like, bro, these guys are just bleeding out. At this point, I'm just waiting for that tweet to go out. GameStop has gone bankrupt. I'm waiting for it. Like, I don't want it to happen, but it's like, come on, guys. You guys read the room. You have any memories with it, Jay? Not Jay, but Ethos, before we move on?
I didn't really subscribe to a lot of Game Informer. I had a couple copies just incidentally, just because of the GameStop stuff. And I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm trying to remember, like, I think the one like memory I have of it was I was reading something about Alpha Protocol, and that may convince me to get the game. That game ended up being a mess, but I still love that game. It's like my favorite guilty pleasure, like terrible game that I still love. So yeah.
Okay.
I hope these writers end up making YouTube channels and they can kind of just drown out all of the noise. So you can just tell me what a game is like, because it's becoming almost impossible to hear what a game is actually like.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they play them, but let's talk about a game that we do play. EA's CEO Andrew Wilson is on record saying Battlefield, the next one, will be the most ambitious project in EA's history.
Oh boy.
The specific quote is you wouldn't know, this is just one of our top priorities. It's also one of the most ambitious projects in our history. We have brought together the very best team coupled with the resources and technology they need to deliver an epic Battlefield experience. I'm gonna go ahead and take the helm with this before I ask all y'all what's an epic Battlefield experience. For me, an epic Battlefield experience would be just a game that works on day one and doesn't blue screen my computer. That's what I would be shocked by that. What about you, Jay?
Man, it's gonna be tough. Like I don't think we'll ever like get that same feel as like when we played Battlefield 3 on the PC, 64-man servers, or just playing like 24/7, like whatever.
Metro, baby.
Metro,
Yeah.
Metro. Like I don't think we'll ever be able to fully replicate that. It's gonna be tough, man. Because after the last one, I don't even. Like I've kind of just lost hope on Battlefield. Like I was hoping that Battlefield would be able to consistently year after year be able to compete with Call of Duty and Activision, but after the last one, I'm just like, man, I'm not so sure. And it's like, damn, you had all the Battlefields in there, and still wasn't able to capture me. Only for longer than a week playing it. So I truly don't know what happened. It's a very bold claim. So it's tough. That's very tough.
Yeah, freaking I don't know what they could do gameplay wise. Yeah, I think they'll just make a new IP. You the expert, Ethos, on this. I legitimately don't know what they could do with Battlefield. I don't know.
I don't know either. Go to war. We're taking you to the battlefield.
They gotta do what Call of Duty did in 2019. Remember how when Modern Warfare 2019 came out and it was refreshing because it was like, whoa, like it felt like an actual step like forward for the franchise for the first time in a very long time. They got to pull that trigger again. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I agree with JG. The saddest part about this is there was a period in time. Y'all probably don't remember this, youngsters listening to this, but there was a period in time where Battlefield was one-upping Call of Duty in every box. We're talking like maybe outside of campaign, but when it came to like the technical, the graphics, the gunplay, like the amount of weapons, the maps, like the whole shebang, Call of Duty was like stuck in its regurgitation of just like, we're just gonna keep playing the same game. And like when that whole fight between, I remember it was, oh man, that was great. That was some Crips versus Blood shit. The Modern Warfare 3 versus the Battlefield 3 war was glorious.
Call of Duty at that time, it was still good, but I would say it was Jay-Z. It was Jay-Z, yeah. And Battlefield was Nas. It was poetic.
Yeah,
both were good for different reasons.
Fight. Exactly, yeah. But that was when I think Call of Duty started showing its cracks. Was Modern Warfare 3 was like the first like, like little worrisome, and then Von Har saved everybody with Black Ops 2. But even that game had its own like later in its life cycle. I was sick and tired of playing Black Ops 2. But then after Black Ops 2, we got the worst Call. I still stand on it. Ghost was the absolute worst fucking Call of Duty day ever.
I don't think anybody's debating that.
Well, Chaos was
only Chaos, yeah.
Only Chaos.
That game was terrible. Then I think ever since then they've been trying to reach back to touch, what used to be, and they haven't been able to touch it. I think the closest they got was Modern Warfare 2019. I think that was the closest they got where like it genuinely felt like the air felt different. Like when that game got revealed, people were like, "Whoa, like this seems like totally like an upgrade. Like the graphics are way different. The remade price, like the campaign seems cool." I remember like the whole breaching thing when they breached in the house and stuff, and it was like, "Whoa, this looks like real life." Battlefield needs to do something like that. Like they got to push either the graphics to like a whole brand new extreme, or they got to come up with a way to make a massive new scale of warfare that we've never seen before. Whether it's
make it Titanfall, just make it Titanfall. I want Titanfall back.
Agreed. Hold on. Somebody made this argument to me the other day though. There's like, do we really want Titanfall 3 the way Apex is going? Like the way what Respawn and EA has been doing lately, do we really want it?
I still want
He said, I still got faith.
It could be a bastardization. I just my baby deserves the 3. It deserves to end as a trilogy, bro. Give my baby the 3rd one.
I think it would do really well now too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you think that DICE at this point, like, just
I think
if they
tired.
continue with
I
Battlefield?
think they're tired of it.
What about Bad Company? Because people kept talking about that. I understand it was in 2042.
Yeah, that could be the saving grace.
If they went back to Bad Company, would that bring people back?
That would.
Fire Story.
I know that is the fan. That's the darling of the franchise. Is Bad Company 2, and I think if they made a 3rd, I don't know if they keep it still cartoony style how they did. I don't know. I don't even know what they would do, but like, I guess that would be the thing that would actually get people excited.
I don't even know if, like, because you said a larger scale, I don't know if that'll work because that exists. It's called PlanetSide 2.
That's what I'm saying. They'd have to steal off of PlanetSide and follow that format and make it like global warfare, basically.
But my thing is, like, PlanetSide 2. PlanetSide 2 was the game that got me into PC gaming, and it was fun for like a month or two. But then it became very stressful because I came to the realization that progress was never made. Like, you would cap one area,
just like war.
Yeah, like, unless you're America. But anyways,
well, I don't know about that. Ask America about Afghanistan and all.
We don't talk about noms.
I can tell you about a war.
Paul, let's talk about the beaches of Normandy.
We're never gonna leave this damn place.
What's the name? Yeah, like you would cap one area, and then 2 hours later it was gone. Like it just became really frustrating. It felt like I was never doing anything. So I was like, I don't know if this more would be better.
I don't know. I just hope it. Whatever they do, don't you make a hero shooter, DICE. Don't do no hero shit.
Why do they have to make Battlefield? Is the better question.
Because it is a franchise with a multi-million-dollar franchise with a household name title, and it's the only shooter. Well, I'd actually argue Apex is probably more popular now than Battlefield.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, even though that's going
down. You don't think it's ironic that, like,
there's another game you guys made. It's called Mirror's Edge. Can we get a third one of that, please? I'll take another Mirror's Edge.
Is great.
I just think it's ironic. EA owns a company called DICE and they won't let them roll it. Ain't that crazy? Scared to take a risk. That's crazy. But yeah, keep an eye on the next Battlefield. I'm pretty sure that'll turn into a meme if it's not the most ambitious shooter ever.
Oh, it will. It's going to be a meme for sure.
Other sad gaming news we got going on here is this is a big one that happened just the other day, and I'm gonna do my best to summarize it because a lot happened. Like, it was articles coming out back to back to back, like 3 days straight. So first things first, Bungie, the Destiny developers, also the former creators of Halo, they laid off another 200 staff. And then they released this statement to the public where they said, due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it's become clear that we need to make substantial changes to cost structure and focus development, yada, yada, yada. Pete Parsons. Penis Pete also goes on to say this was a really hard decision. It was hard for him, even though he's been on record buying over 25 cars in the last 2 years. We'll get into that. So he gives a whole bullshit ass statement about that. And then the very next day, also the CEO of Bungie, he took his Twitter and he put it on private so nobody could criticize him. A scathing article comes out from PlayStation Lifestyle. I'm gonna have to read this whole thing. The headline is Bungie misled Sony about its financial position ahead of the acquisition. So there might have been some drama behind the scenes brewing the entire time that leads in before they were acquired. A damning new report claims that Bungie misled Sony about its financial position ahead of its acquisition of PlayStation. The studio's management has come under scrutiny following a second round of mass layoffs within a year that didn't even spare longtime senior executives. Now, many former employees are laying the blame solely on Penis Parsons. So yeah, even like higher ups, like senior developers were getting laid off. It wasn't just like new people coming into Bungie. Sony spent almost $4 billion acquiring Bungie, but was it worth it? In the report, those who spoke to former Bungie employees to get to the bottom of things, at least one of them addressed that many analysts and the gaming community have been left puzzled after spending $4 billion to acquire the studio. The employee reckons that Sony overpaid for Bungie after the studio misled the PlayStation maker by selling things that we were just not able to deliver. While Destiny 2, the final shape, has been widely praised, the reporter has been told that the latest cuts were being planned long before the expansion was released. What's even more interesting is that it seems Bungie was a bit desperate to strike a deal with Sony. One of the reporter's sources said that if Bungie hadn't been acquired, it may have gone bankrupt. But that was an alternate history that didn't happen. So translation, two big things we got out of this article. Penis Parsons, he's making accusations that they might have lied about the books. Sony is pissed. They paid $4 billion for Bungie, and he's basically saying, and there's no proof of this, is all alleged, that they got. And it's funny because we talked about this on the podcast plenty of times. Like, what made Sony pay that much for Bungie? Because I mean, at this point, they didn't even own Halo. And like Bethesda makes sense. They have tons of IPs. Activision makes sense. They have tons of dormant IPs. But Bungie, they had Destiny. They didn't even have Halo anymore. They had 343.
Because they wanted to get into live service. They wanted more live service games. And they're like,
this correlates what we were speculating, though. They might have overpaid. Sony's pissed.
It doesn't make sense because it's like, how could... Okay, me and Siggy saw that thing happen. Remember? Me and Siggy, we had a whole stream about it. And me and Siggy were perplexed. Me and Siggy are not, financial experts by any stretch of the imagination. How could me and Siggy see from a mile away? This seems ridiculous. Why the fuck would you ever pay $8 million because that was almost as much as Bethesda, right? That was like double than Bethesda? 4?
No, Bethesda was 8, I believe.
Was 7 or 8, right?
Yeah,
that's
this one was 3.6. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what was confusing.
If it was millions, I'd have been like, yeah. I personally said Bungie was worth millions. That's what I thought. I personally thought, off of what I know. You could say, well, the reputation is, but I at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, first of all, probably a lot of the old guard at Bungie isn't there anymore. The guys that made Halo wouldn't shock me if a lot of them aren't there anymore. They went off to other things and they're off doing other things. So you got a different guard of like studio people that are there. Probably a lot of people who OG like developed the concept of Destiny probably aren't there anymore. So you got this like weird middle ground of like people who probably came in on the project in the middle of Destiny 1, Destiny 2, maybe some leftover people who were part of the original Halo stuff. But, there's I don't even want to go into the whole clusterfuck of some OG people suing Bungie and all this sort of stuff. But I just could not understand why you would evaluate them for billions of dollars. It didn't make sense. I even would understand, well, they have arguably probably the biggest live service game of all time. I would say, I can't think of one.
It is the live service game besides Fortnite, maybe.
Maybe Fortnite has now over.
I would say Fortnite's bigger. I say Destiny's number 2.
It's probably Fortnite. Destiny would probably be number 2 or number 3. They're all in the top 3 basically. I was gonna say Minecraft, but Minecraft is service. But yeah, I just couldn't justify in my head why anybody would pay that amount of money. And then I guess the idea of saying like, oh, well, they'll give their expertise to future, projects and all this sort of stuff. That still, I just don't equate that money amount. So like to hear all this, don't get me wrong, the idea of knowing they could have been deleted out of existence probably by this time is definitely terrifying to think of, because it makes me think if Bungie was stuck in the situation and Bungie's as big as it was, what other studios out there are also in the same like problematic situation right now where like they're desperately trying to get bought up by
makes me wonder if that's the reason they went free to play too, because they were they felt like they had 100%. To fill the servers up to get 100%. More sales.
I mean, like Watts can tell you, no stretch of the imagination, free to play experience is terrible. It is very hard.
So
I mean, how many free to play games you see me play? We was just talking about The Last Ascendant. I'm not playing that shit, bro.
It's hard to bring new players.
It is hard.
And
it's hard, and they added a new light experience, which is supposed to onboard people. But we've heard from these articles as well that people just had one shot at making it good, and then they were never allowed or able to revisit it again. So I mean, it's kind of hard to. It's such a it's like a 10-year series at this point. And if you just have your developers have one shot at making a really good onboarding process, it's just setting the devs up to fail, really. So half of the acquisition fee was to retain employees, and half was just like buying it, which, you're like, now you've laid off like a lot of people. How does that?
Where'd the money go?
We know where the money went.
Where'd the money go, dog?
Executive.
It reminds me of another person. Remember another person that was also getting a bunch of money that said he was going to a certain place and it didn't go there. I'm just like, where's the money?
You know what confuses me about this story too, and I didn't state this earlier when I was summarizing things. Another thing that happened too was during the after the layoffs had happened, the 200 plus people, it also was revealed of the people that were left at Bungie. Some of them were splintered to create a new team within Sony, and they'll be working on other games. I believe it was another 120. So really, Bungie lost like 300 plus employees because another studio is being splintered into another one.
That's 155 people from Bungie are being spread throughout Sony studios.
Can you tell me, is this basically, in fact, I saw this tweet. I don't know. Again, this is rumor. Maybe if any of you guys saw a follow-up of this.
I can tell you all of it.
Sure. Okay. So is the rumor true about, has Big Daddy Sony basically stepped in and said, we own you now? Is that
I don't think we're at that point now. Okay. From what people have been saying internally is like Sony was really trying to make this less of a really bad thing for Bungie employees. So they've got like 155 people throughout different studios, and then 40 people are making their own studio under Sony to continue
so
making
to transfer them so they didn't lose them permanently.
And they were like, I've heard people say that Sony has been going to bat for the developers at Bungie more than Bungie has been doing. I've heard some people say that. So
that's tough.
It really sucks, man.
So who do we beat up? Who do we blame? Who do when we see them? Whose recaps do we have? Is Pete? Is it
that's his job, right? He is the CEO, so it is his job to make bets and make good on those bets. And if he doesn't make good on those bets, then it's him who needs to be accountable. And they were making, I mean, Bungie in general has only really been a one-game studio throughout like their entire history, right? Like they haven't had a bunch of games going on at once. And we know that obviously Destiny's being created. We know that Marathon's being created. We know that Gummy Bears is being created because that's the game that they're going to be working on. Gummy Bears, we don't really know much about it. There was like a kind of a leak about it initially. This is like an inside name. I'm sure they'll get sued if they use Gummy Bears.
Like, what is Gummy Bears?
But we think it's like a MOBA kind of game. So that was one that they were working on, and that is the game that is going to be made at a brand new Sony studio. So apparently Sony likes it enough to try and have a... I hope not.
Okay.
They still plan on releasing it next year. So that's 3 games we know of. We also know that they were making a game called Payback, which was going to be set in the Destiny universe, which is like a third-person action-adventure game. We know that they were making a game called Matter, which doesn't exist anymore. So I'm like, we know of at least like 5 games that they were trying to do all at once. And I'm like, that's a big bet when your one source of income is Destiny. So obviously a lot of tech companies had this big boom during COVID, and a lot of them, for some reason, all of them had the same idea of hiring like hundreds of people and going all in and going crazy, expecting this to continue, when that has not been the case. So instead of being like, yeah, you know, we'll hire some new people, we'll move some of our like OGs to start working on Marathon, wait to get it out so it's making money for itself, and then working on another project, they were just like, we're going to work on 5+ projects all at once. And it kind of makes me wonder if that was being done to sell to Sony, right? Of like, look, we're literally making 5 live service games right now, and then we're also going to work with your other studios on more live service games. It's a huge mess. And yeah, ultimately it's the CEO's job to put this together. And if it does not go well, then it falls on his head. But so far it has not. Well, as it always goes.
He needs to get his ass beat.
You're making bets with people's lives, and this happens all the time, right?
Like on Twitter, I'm like, honestly, like I've seen this one woman who said that she got laid off the day before she was going to be on maternity leave. I'm like, sometimes some of this type of shit is like, it's borderline evil. Like, I'm like, someone need to beat your ass for that shit. Like,
that's what happened to my wife, bro. That's what happened to my wife in 1 second.
Your ass need to get beat, bro, for that type of shit.
She was saying like, if the baby, because they have 3 months of healthcare and all that stuff. But she was saying, if I had my kid now, if the baby was here, I would have coverage for the baby. But it doesn't. You don't have it for maternity stuff. No.
Shit, so trash, bro.
So Destiny,
it's awful.
Destiny dead? Is that
I don't think it's dead. So here's what they're planning on doing. They're planning on doing like smaller content drops every 6 months. They're gonna have, you played Into the Light, right? Where it was like Onslaught, which is like a horde mode, was kind of added with a bunch of weapons, and then they also added Pantheon, which is like basically you just fight raid bosses one after the other, and you get a bunch of loot from that. So they're going to be bringing out that content for free and that's going to be like a frequent thing that they do, and also updating their core playlists like Crucible and Strikes and stuff. And then they're going to have they're still going to have campaigns, but it's going to be on a much smaller scale. So there's still going to be raids, there's still going to be dungeons, there's still going to be destinations. It's just going to be on a smaller scale. So
are we effectively saying expansions are cooked, basically? Like
pretty much, yeah. They're calling them like content packs more than
same thing Halo
expansions.
Infinite's doing, basically.
So
similar, yeah.
That's crazy because they really
It depends
did
if it's
drop one
good.
of the best things they ever did.
They did. It's so good.
I even said, I was like, bro, yo, the future is bright. I can't believe it. I gotta redo the whole ending of that the whole video was like, oh, the future looks great. For the first time, I feel like the franchise is now at a
People
very
are so,
amazing point where it could be anything.
This is
now,
Destiny. We're so back, it's over.
was
We're
like,
so back,
we're
it's
back,
over.
it's
We're
over.
so back, it's over. That's Destiny's
We're
history.
done. It's over,
It's
man.
a mess. So
Yeah.
I've seen some devs that are still there who are like, I have faith in my team, and I have faith in the devs that are there. It's just whether the leadership can listen to those developers and let them do what they need to do to make the game good. Because they've made good content like Menagerie, right?
I just can't understand how this has happened for so long. Because I feel like,
Yeah.
like that, what you just said, like leadership. Like, I can't tell you how much. I think back of when Destiny 1 came out, right? And people were upset about how D1 came out. And what was I remember the articles, like Jason Schreier put an article out, and then it repeated with D2. It seems to me that's the problem every single time. And I can't remember if it was like an ex-Bungie dev that put it on Twitter, and I was like, I think I'm starting to see the picture here. It seems like they would always try to like, this is the like, when Bungie left Microsoft, we had issues with Microsoft. We had issues with the reason why things went bad was because of Activision. The reason why was like all the excuses are like they're dying, and now you have the truth of when are we just going to admit? And it seems to be a pattern now that like I saw a consistency of leadership. Like the reason why D2 got rebooted, leadership. Why did D1 get rebooted at the end? Leadership. And it's like, this is now a reoccurring thing, and I don't know if it's been like Bungie has had leadership changing throughout. I'm assuming like D1's leadership was different from D2's.
No, it was the same.
Is it the same? So it's like
it stayed the same, which makes it worse actually.
So these bums just gotta leave. So these bums gotta go. That's what it sounds like. It sounds.
And
like
some of them have gone. I think some of the like. I'm not. So Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, they're like really good devs. I think the reason that they're gone, they weren't laid off. It was more so that all the projects that they were working on, which was Destiny Universe stuff, but not Destiny 2, it all got canned. Like TV show, Payback, like all of that stuff is. Yeah. So it's like you can't if they can't find a role to put them into, you can't just put them into like a lower role. So yeah, it's something that I've heard consistently from devs that have left or been laid off or whatever, where they're like, leadership just doesn't let us do what we know is good for the game. And they let them do it with Final Shape because they're like, this needs to be really good. What do you think we need to do? And look at what happened.
You got a 90 something on Metacritic. Something that doesn't
it was like,
knows how long. Yeah. This is what frustrates me so much about all this shit. I just want to strangle the cause behind what causes people's brains to not do the logical thing of why are we not listening to the damn people that know that are you hired to do the thing? You
hired them to do the job, and then you're like, I got this.
And then you deter them by, you know what? I played Dark Souls over this weekend and I really liked it. Can we can we turn Destiny into an open world game with parries and stuff? And
don't underestimate. It is because you're not thinking outside yourself. Almost a year into, like right before G4 shut down, I had a skit. I wrote the whole thing, and it premiered on a show that we did on X-Play, and it was on the front page of Twitch. It was like 20,000 people, and I'll never forget that day because that was one of my favorite days at G4. I wrote everything. Nobody helped me. No producers, anything. Because I was like, the issue I was having, they were writing stuff for me, but it wasn't me. I was like, y'all gotta get the fuck out of my way. So I did the whole thing. It was like a 15-minute video. Everybody in the chat was laughing. So I felt like Michael Jordan coming out the studio. Everybody was dapping me up. The vice president says, he's like, I didn't know you're a really funny guy. And I remember looking at him like, is
that not why I'm here?
I was like, should I be fucking offended, bro? So like, you'd be surprised. Like, people bring you on board and they think they know what's best for you. It's just, it's some people's personalities, I guess, because they were so successful in their own life. They feel like they know what to do, what's best for you.
I think that's where a lot of it comes from, to be honest. I think it's like an ego thing. of I know what's best. You know, I made Destiny 1 what it is, or I made this, or I made Halo, whatever, because there's Halo people there, and it's a kind of an ego thing potentially. I don't know.
It's such a terrible mindset because when I worked on
It is
a couple things, one company that I used to work with, fuck them, but one thing they did give insight to that I thought was really good is they said you should always listen to the people that you brought on with fresh eyes, because they're going to notice things about your process that you have just been so just entwined with doing for so long. It's become a part of your routine that you just thought was normal. And
it's like when your English teacher would read over your paper and you see it come back with all the marks. I didn't even see those spelling. Yeah, it's the same shit.
You'd be like, why are y'all doing this? Like, this seems kind of stupid. And you're just like, well, I mean, we've just always done it. And then you realize, oh my God, we went through a cycle because we didn't, no one from a fresh perspective looked at this and realized, oh my God, we could have been doing something a lot easier, a lot better. And that's just like that with video games. And yeah, it blows my mind. At least like my experience has always been like developing has been, I don't know everything. I'll try to learn and find out, or I'll find the people that do know how to do that, because I don't know how to do that. But I learn off of them, and I've learned so much over the years. And it frustrates me that unfortunately there are people out there that just think, oh, well, I got one banger, so I know everything. And gaming, we just talked about it, right? Like gaming during, like saying, oh, I made Gears of War, or I made, Halo what it was back in the day on the 360. That's not equivalent to what the marketplace is like, what gamers want today. It's not the same. So it's just fucking frustrating.
I hope they get it together. I would hate for anything bad to see. Like it's been enough layoffs. It's been enough studios shutting down. I don't want to see anything get worse. So I hope they figure this situation out.
I hope they do. Like, Bungie has such an incredible collection of developers. Like, they are ahead of a lot of companies in the industry in like world design, music, gunplay, game feel. Like, they have incredible people together, and I would hate to see them all be gone. And this is the thing that like really makes me mad is there's going to be a lot of those 220 people who now don't have a job that they're like, I don't want to continue in the gaming industry. This is too unstable for me. I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's a lot of talent that you're losing out on because someone took a bet and it didn't work out. And now you don't have a job.
Fuck CEOs.
Yeah.
I hope Marathon's good. Dear God, please.
Oh, funny you mentioned that. So there was an article.
So content creators got to become early and on time.
And yeah.
Freaking hopefully they get it together. Let's switch over to something more positive. NBA Street, very popular franchise. It spawned some spinoffs, NFL Street as well as FIFA Street. But fun fact, a lot of times people talk about this, like in my chat, they need to be back Street, they need to be back Def Jam, and I have to always bring up the sales. Like these games never sold well. Like they were very important to us, but they never sold well. Like NBA Street, when I checked the other day, it sold like total like 2.5 million copies. Which the way people talk about it, you would think it's a cult classic, but it's not like an overall a lot of people didn't play this game. Anyways, a lot of people have been asking for it to come back, and apparently some former EA developers have put together a new studio, and they're working on a spiritual successor called Got Next, and it will be a 3v3 street basketball game releasing in 2025. It'll have crossplay and cross progression, unique characters with strengths, weaknesses, and attributes, and is being developed in Unreal Engine 5. They got a quick little teaser trailer, but it doesn't really show much. It's coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and Steam. What do you feel like they need to do for this to be a success, Jay?
I mean, I think that if they have the same core gameplay elements, I think that'll be a good step there. But I think the main thing is people are going to want some of those nostalgic real NBA players. So I'm hoping that in some form or fashion they can get an NBA licensing deal so that they can add those people in there. And I mean, it doesn't even need to be recent NBA players. Like it can be legendary NBA players. Like it just some form of NBA in there would end up bringing this back to the old days of NBA Street. If they don't, then I think that a lot of people, they may try it out, but I don't think they will stick with it. I think you still do need those NBA elements, because I mean NBA Street had those those street ball legends, so it wasn't just NBA players, and those are the people that we do remember, but you still need that actual NBA IP in there.
I disagree. I halfway agree. What I mean is, I feel like when I think of NBA Street, like I think more so of like Bonafide and like Stretch. I think of those Street.
I think
legends.
of Hot Sauce.
Yeah, I think of like those characters you played against in the story mode. I will say,
a short guy who's 6'1".
I will say without the NBA license, I do think they're fighting an uphill battle, but I'm not going to say they're down for the count. What I will say is if they can't secure an NBA license, they're really going to have to, whatever money they have left over, they're going to have to make a push to get like content creators to try it. Because if the gameplay is fire, if it's genuinely fun to play, they have their own Street Legends, like a story mode where you can create your own character, you can play online. It can stand on its own too, but they're going to have to make a correct marketing push. But I would say if it would help if it had NBA players, definitely. It would practically sell itself. What do you think, Watts?
I loved NBA Street. And I kind of loved everything about it. One, I love that there's less rules than like an NBA game. Like, I remember going and playing official NBA games. And I'm like, what are these rules, man? I'm breaking all the rules constantly. Yeah, I loved it. I loved the music. Every time I think of
B-Rock. Reminisce. That's why I learned the song.
Yeah, the music was so good and makes me so nostalgic for it. I played a lot in there. The customization, like getting to know street basketball players was really cool because I think a lot of people didn't have a lot of access to them, especially internationally, and you got to know about them and their history and who they are. I loved it, man. I loved the gameplay elements. It was just really, really fun. You got to listen to some really good music, play a fun game. And I hope they can recapture that. I think it's more so for me, it's about recapturing the vibe of the game, like the personality of the game. It's got to have the same kind of personality. I don't want it to be void of all of the stuff that made me love it. So I hope they can do it. I will definitely give it a try. Absolutely. I loved that game.
I know you're not a big sports fan, Ethos, but were you a fan of Street? Do you care about this?
Everyone loves Street.
I'm black. I'm black.
All right, buddy. You're canceled.
That was the ultimate DEI game back in the day. No, I loved it. It holds a place in my heart. Some of the like the background games, sport games, like background baseball, backyard baseball. Pablo Sanchez, like I always had like an affinity to those type of like.
I love those.
Arcadey type sports games instead of the ones trying to push like realism.
Same with the racing games.
Exactly. Like I was like a big fan of Nicktoon Racing with the kid and sort of stuff. So like I'm looking forward to it. I'll check it out. We had like stuff like Jet Set Radio that's coming back. So maybe this is like maybe a resurgence of going back to those older catalog like cartoon, arcadey games and maybe trying to either make spiritual successors or rebirth them. I know Sega's doing that right now, so I'm excited.
Games that are just fun to play, like you're not trying to achieve anything, you're just having a good time with the game.
It's bringing the fun back. If they can't get NBA licenses, maybe they can secure the AM1 folks. I'll love that too.
WNBA. I learned about Diana. I learned about Diana Taurasi from Home Court. She was in that.
WNBA could work too. Yeah. Yeah, but that's NBA, so this is
you're right. They are a subsidiary.
It's NBA IP, so
we'll see. I'm rooting for the game. Bring back just silly fun games.
Definitely.
That's the positive. The way I set up the notes is like I was trying not to because it was like it was a good combination of positive and negative. It's a roller coaster. So we're going back negative, baby. We're going back negative after the positive. We've got a conclusion to Assassin's Creed Shadows drama for those that have not been in the know, who've been living under a rock. Because this is a great conclusion. We need this. So
it is positive news.
Yeah, it technically is positive, depending on where you stand on this issue. So for those unaware, since Shadows got first announced, Yasuke, the Black Samurai, it's been a strong debate on whether or not he was a samurai or he just carried swords for Nobunaga, which has some racist undertones on it. But anyways, what's the name? Ubisoft put out this whole statement, was like, it's kind of like this half-ass apology, but really they were kind of like, we're still going to do it. I don't know why they did it. They made it worse. They kind of made it seem almost halfway validated the people's talking points, even though I don't think they made any valid talking points because a lot of historians have came out and said he was a samurai. But a lot of people in America seem to know Japanese culture better than Japanese people when they're not cosplaying as Japanese people through Google Translate. So one story that was making a lot of waves, I seen a lot of the Go Woke Go Broke channels on YouTube. They were posting videos about how the Japanese government was going to investigate Ubisoft for falsifying the fact that Yasuke was a samurai. And I'm not gonna lie, the way they was talking real greasy, I was like, damn, this might be a L for Ubisoft. Did they find something? But I never actually clicked and watched any of those videos because I don't want them in my algorithm. But I'm glad I read this article. This article, we find out the Japanese government basically said they don't give a fuck what y'all think. We have bigger fish to fry. But the most interesting thing that I feel like is getting left out about this whole Yasuke argument is, so the NHK party, which is like a fringe political party within Japan, they're the ones that are taking this argument to the Japanese government and saying like, hey, look at them. They're messing with our history. Yasuke is a DEI samurai, da-da-da-da-da. And this is the part that like the YouTube channels were latching on to. What I found out from the article, I didn't know this, but the NHK party is like some fringe political party that's not even taken seriously in Japan.
Yeah,
so
it's like a super alt-right political party.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones. We've all
never
had
going
seen
nowhere.
those.
This was never going anywhere. They were like,
it
you're
wasn't like the
joke.
leader of Japan was like, we gotta get on this Assassin's Creed stuff.
It was just somebody who they got to latch on to the campaign. That's all.
Yep. And even I think even the dude from the party knew this was never going anywhere. So then when he presented this argument from the West to the Japanese government, they threw it out. They was like, we don't care. Because if you actually keep up with what's going on in the world, the Japanese currency is at an all-time low. Their birth rates are low right now. They have real issues going on in Japan. They don't give a fuck about what's going on with Yasuke. And they actually released a statement saying, shut the fuck up. And to make matters even worse, even the Assassin's Creed subreddit came out and said, we are going to start banning anyone complaining about the historical accuracy of Yasuke. We are sick and tired of this debate.
They should never negotiate with terrorists.
Should have never negotiated. So do you think that like the go wokey brokey type are going to actually give up? Do you think they're going to take their L?
I don't think so. You're going to hear it happen all over again when the game comes out, and they're going to be like, oh, they're playing hip hop music with Yasuke. And it's going to happen all over again. It's going to happen all over. I don't think they're going to give up. Honestly, so the thing that I've seen Japanese people, like regular Japanese people actually being a little bit like, is they got some problems with like flags that they've chosen to use that are... Yeah, the flags are like there's rice being grown in a period where it just makes no sense for rice to be there and different things to be there at the same time. So I've seen that where they're like, can you just like accurately portray Japan? But not so much the Yasuke thing. But no, I don't think they'll give up. Unless there's something more important happening around that time that they can latch onto. But this is all they do is they go online and try and drum up drama against studios for things they don't like. So.
That's crazy. That translation, the Yasuke part is accurate. What wasn't accurate is the little details that you had in the game. Go fix that. That's what the issue was. That's
like, why is rice here? It shouldn't be growing at this time of year, man.
That's fucking funny.
Or like they had a torii gate that was like an entrance to a village. And torii gates is supposed to be like entrances used for gods. So people actually go around torii gates. So they're like, you can't have a torii gate as an entrance to it.
I know that.
So it's stuff like that.
I know. Oh, I'm so cool. Okay, I know that. Bro, okay. Side note. So it's funny. So there's a map in Samurai Zero that we were developing, and I said this. I was like, oh, can we put like a torii gate here? And because we did research, so I said, oh, because a friend of mine, somebody worked on the project. Two people actually did. They lived in Japan. And they said actually a torii gate wouldn't make sense here, but because of the context of where you're placing this in the forest, because we had a shrine that was a little bit in there. He was like, no, this would make sense for this location, but it wouldn't make sense in one of the city ones. I was like, oh. So then we made a change. Just fun fact. Okay, there you go. I'm done.
Yeah, I went to a park and they were like, don't walk through it. That's
don't walk through it.
Don't walk through it.
Yeah.
What do you think about this all, Jay?
I'm just waiting on the next goalpost shift. I'm not even gonna say much about this. I'm just waiting on the next goalpost shift, so just so I can report on it. Because honestly, after this, I want to see what they're gonna come up with.
That is gonna be it. It's gonna be. They're gonna finally see that there's a woman in it, and then
there's a woman in here.
Like, oh shit! Now she right there the whole time.
Women can't do that.
Oh, I've heard a little bit of it actually, because they were like, why didn't they use a historical female ninja for the Japanese character, but they had to do it for the black character. That's what I've heard. So that's the next one. That's what's coming.
Just saying shit at this point, bro. Oh man, interesting time in the world. I think what's gonna come of this actually is they're not gonna take the L. They're just gonna take that article from the Reddit thing, and they're gonna be like, "See, the left is trying to silence us. If we go to the Reddit and we speak the truth, like they're just gonna keep doing tinfoil hat." And like at this point, I'm not gonna lie. I just anytime one of these articles come out, I just read it on stream to farm views because like it's free views, just to laugh at them. Like we gotta start laughing at these people, bro. Like,
they get upset.
You do
like the hell out of your videos.
It's going viral, baby. Like,
yeah. Like you've seen what the Democrat Party's doing, right? They're just calling people weird. We need to just start calling people weird. You're just weird. Yeah, just call them weird and move on.
You're fucking weird.
You're weird.
Great.
That's it.
We're seeing some pushback from gamers. They're fighting back. We've seen game preservation really start to enter the zeitgeist of the gaming community. A lot of games have been getting pulled, people not being able to play them, because for those unaware, a lot with these digital games and the terms of service, you do not own the games, and they have the right to revoke the license. They can just pull it off your hard drive at any point. It was happening with TV shows on PlayStation like a few months ago too, as well. And it scared a lot of people into buying physicals. Matter of fact, I just started collecting records because I was like, you know what? I read an article, I don't know if y'all know, apparently Spotify has, I don't know about Apple, but Spotify has never been profitable. I read that, I'm like, bruh, Twitch has never been profitable, Spotify, I'm like, these companies could go at any time, dude. I was like, you know what, I got a new rule for music too. If I really like it, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna support the artist. But gamers are pushing back on this front. What's the name? And it was thanks to the crew. They put together a petition called "Stop Killing Games," and basically they're going to the EU government and trying to put some protections in place for consumers when it comes to being able to pull. Like, I think they're trying to find that happy medium, because people understand, like, if a game is not popular anymore, we understand why you're shutting down the online servers, because it costs you a lot of money. But at bare minimum, I should be able to play the game single player. I paid for it. Like, I should be able to own it. So like they're petitioning to the EU to put some pro-consumer practices into play. And I'm curious to hear, do y'all think that this is actually going to go anywhere, Ethos?
Hope so. Usually the EU actually does do this sort of stuff. Like, they're the main reason behind the whole...
Apple shit.
Yeah, the Apple thing, the Fortnite thing. Like, they usually are the ones that end up... America fucking sucks. Are legal.
Except for the Olympics come around.
Yeah, the Olympics.
USA.
Because of all the immigrants we have.
Yeah.
That's why we're winning.
Hell yeah.
All your people. I hope it does happen. America sucks when it comes to getting legal things like this taken care of for us, but the EU seems to be a lot more strict on like a lot of their customer stuff. I think it has a chance of passing. I hope it does. Fortunately, I don't think it'll really affect us.
Yeah, well, sometimes what happens over in the EU comes over here, because I mean, what happened with the Apple thing, I think that's gonna affect the States eventually, because I don't think they want to make multiple different iPhones with different ports. Yeah.
They're the reason why the iPhone has to use a USB-C.
I'm not gonna rule it out. I'm not gonna rule it out. It's a possibility if there's enough pressure. Any takes on it, Jay?
I mean, yeah, I don't see this being a bad thing at all. I do hope that this ends up gaining some more traction and becoming law, because, I mean, why not? I do wholeheartedly agree that you shouldn't be able to shut down any game that I have purchased, whether online or otherwise. So it definitely should go into effect. So I'll be definitely paying attention to this and seeing what the progress is going forward. So hopefully it does lead somewhere.
What about you, Watts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with things that you guys have said. We've seen so much stuff now being just gone, including the magazines, right? Game Informer's gone. I can't read any of that anymore. The services that are being shut down. There's games that they're just like pulling the plug so you can't play the game anymore. You just can't be doing that. You can't just take away people's stuff like that. So yeah, I hope that something comes of it. And I think they might need to add a better way for more games to be able to make physical copies, because it's always such a huge thing for indie games to do. Like, they always have like an extra goal if they're doing like a Kickstarter where they can do a physical copy, because it takes a while. Like, a game that I really like has only just recently got a physical copy, and it's like 4 years old.
What game is that?
Grime. You should, if you like parrying, play Grime. Play
I've never
Grime.
heard of
It
it.
is. It's so good. So they were actually making their game before Sekiro came out, and they were kind of concerned about having they were concerned because they're like a 4-person studio. So they were concerned about having a game that's purely around parrying. And then Sekiro did it, and they were like, "Oh, we can do it! Let's go!" Check it out. It's really
I
good.
googled grime, and the first thing that came up was UK rappers. I got to type game.
It is a type of.
You gotta put in grime video game.
Yeah.
Go on Steam.
I see it. It's got very
Look
positive
on
reviews. Interesting.
Yeah, it's really good.
Flamehead dude.
Yeah, it's like the black hole head.
Yeah.
Doesn't look
Yeah.
bad.
No, it's really good. They have a DLC too, and the way that they did their DLC is it just is with the base game, so it's all integrated. It's not like a totally separate area. So if you play it now, you can just play through all of it and have all of that content. It's really good.
Yeah, there are certain games that you just get lost to time because certain games are only digital releases. Matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up because I picked up a bunch of games at Best Buy for my Switch, and Milady was with me. One of her favorite games I found out, because she's a Call of Duty head, was Super Meat Boy. I was like, that's a deep cut. I was like, okay. And we were in the Switch section, and there was a limited edition release for the Switch of Super Meat Boy. And I told her, I was like, you should buy that because it was only $15. And she was like, why? I was like,
definitely.
that's a digital only release. I was like, and that's a limited edition release. A, it'll probably be worth a lot of money at some point. But B, like, if Steam collapses or Xbox Live, you'll never be able to play your favorite game again. She's like, wow, I never thought of it. But yeah. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. But yeah, that's the petition. Hopefully, I think it has like 30,000 signatures or something like that. So hopefully it continues to grow. One thing that we've been talking about too is like smaller teams as a solution, smaller games, more AA games. That's a solution to this bubble that's bursting within the game industry. Blizzard has reportedly created some smaller teams to create AA games. I don't really have any hot takes on this. Hopefully we just start to see more of this as a trend. I want to see more just experimental games, because like on the flip side of things, not only is everything becoming AAA, but like everything's just becoming watered down. Like a lot, especially PlayStation games, they're becoming very formulaic. And when you have like smaller teams and there's less cooks in the kitchen, there's room to like experiment and try different things. So like that's the main reason I want to see more of these AA games. It allows for some creativity that we might not see in other places.
Shout out to Kunitsugami, Capcom, for just being like, go crazy.
Weird.
I forgot to put that on the notes. I forgot it came out because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't play it. It just never got around to it. Did you want to speak on that, Watts?
I just really like it. Like all I can do is say like the game really impressed me, because I thought it was going to be like maybe a smaller thing, maybe like pretty short, but it's actually pretty lengthy. I don't know exactly how long. I'd have to look it up. But it's just super experimental, and like they added 3D modeled food to the game that you can look at. It doesn't do anything. It just teaches you about like Japan's history of food, and you get to look at it. There's just a bunch of stuff in that game.
Wait.
Like,
did the Redditors check the history on that? Is that accurate? Or is it only for Yasuke?
I don't know. Only Yasuke ate those foods, so it's not historically accurate.
I'm just saying, are we keeping the same energy, or are we only checking the history on Yasuke? Like
it's a really cool game. And every time I see like an intro for a new enemy or a new boss, it's always so good. And generally I don't look at a lot of like 3D models that they add to games of enemy types. But this one, I wanted to like really look at it because they're so intricately created. It's just a really good game. I'm so happy that the developers there were able to just make something so unique.
What's the name? Have the Ethos or Jay? Did y'all get a chance to play it?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
No.
Yeah, I liked it. I've seen Watts. I haven't beaten it yet, but take some time to play it when I get a chance. But I did really like how experimental it was. I went into it blind. I didn't know anything about the game. I was shocked. I thought it was gonna be one type of game. I thought it was gonna be like some side scroller, some hack and slash. It wasn't that. I was like, whoa, what? It was like a tower defense mixed with like action game, mixed with strategy game. I was with like a collective game. I was like, bro, what am I playing? It's a really unique experimental game that if you like, even if you like Japanese culture or history and you're interested in learning that, it teaches you something, which is awesome. But then on top of that, the game's actually pretty interesting in this game design.
It's pretty cool, man.
Pretty unique stuff. So yeah, I recommend it. It's a good Game Pass game.
I was gonna say,
that's why they put it on Game Pass. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. I'm gonna play it on my Steam Deck, I think.
That's what I really want to play it on. If I could put it on my Steam Deck.
Okay. Look out. How do you pronounce that game again?
Kunitsugami. It's also just called, you can also say Path of the Goddess, because it's Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess.
Yeah,
Check it out. It's on Game Pass.
Check it out.
It's on Game Pass. And then last but not least for articles, what I got for y'all is Apex Legends is on a slide. I know Ethos is really happy. Get your hate out. For those not in the know, about a week ago, Respawn announced that they were making some changes for the upcoming Season 22, which today is August 3rd. Season 22 happens August 6th. The changes they were making is to the battle pass. They were going to make a split like there's like the rank season. So instead of one battle pass, there's going to be two. And, no big deal if, you're paying for the price of one. But no, they wanted instead of $20. So you had to pay twice for it. And they tried to justify it by saying you get a little bit of extra crafting materials. So naturally, the community was upset. They rioted. Apparently, it has like 100,000 negative reviews on the Steam version of the game. And last I checked the other day, like the peak player count was at like 50,000. Which is a far cry from like the 600,000 peak like 2 seasons ago. The numbers might go back up on the 6th when the new season drops because Akimbo is coming to the game and some other changes like a new map. Look at this asshole.
It's Akimbo.
We're doing something that Halo 2 did.
I'm not gonna lie, like it does make me happy that the consumers are like, nah, we're not doing that. Like I just wish other communities would do the same exact thing, but you never know until like the full season drops. But it's just a funny story I thought I want to share. I'm like, I like to see when communities have a backbone. Like people are tired of doing these weeklies, these dailies, these monthlies, these yearlies. You want twice as much for the battle pass. Your skins is $100,000. Like, goddamn, like where is your situational awareness? People are struggling right now. Why are you cheering those?
You know why I'm cheering that. You know why. I'm a Titanfall 2 fan. I got one thing and one thing only I want Respawn to be doing. And if they're too busy doing Apex, they can't be working on Titanfall. So I hope this fails. I hope it falls. I pray every day. I don't pray the guys of I want developers to lose their job, but I want them to move on.
EA's gonna close them before they do another Titanfall. They're gonna say, "All right."
You know what's crazy? I actually believe you. That's the worst part. I think EA would close Respawn before we even got a chance to see a Titanfall 3. But,
Andrew Wilson said, "No."
No Titanfall.
Damn. But I just want my Titanfall 3. That's why every day I pray for Apex Legends down. I'm happy to see that, it's falling.
I'm not
going to say that other game. Overwatch and Apex Legends. Those are the two I pray every day. I wake up, I say, Lord, I don't know.
I'm not going to say the game is dead, but I will say Season 22, if it's not fire, this is a turning point for them. Like, the numbers are already dipping. If they don't get it right, because they did come out and retract that they won't be doing the double battle pass for the season. They fixed that real quick when they seen how people was mad. So like kudos to them for at least listening to the community. But I will say people ain't gonna forget you tried to fuck them over. You about to say something, Jay?
It didn't stop. I find this funny. I'm looking at Steam right now. I have 2 friends who have reviewed the game. One of my friends has reviewed it recently. Said the game is trash. Developers are trash. I see why people say the horrible things they do to the devs of the game. EA as a company needs to go bankrupt. So one of my friends, another friend is Ethos.
Wait, no.
From 2021. Can I read? Can I please read
give
this?
The date. Yo,
can I please read this?
2021.
From March 20th, 2021. He says, and I quote, "Every couple of months, I go from loving this game to hating this game, back to loving this game. It seems that as of right now, I am on the loving this game cycle."
Let me rechange this review. I am now on the I hate this game cycle.
Yeah, you should just put update. Fuck this game.
Right now. Update.
Fuck this game forever.
88,215 reviews. Overwhelmingly negative. It's been a while since I've seen it. Overwhelmingly negative. You see negative, but overwhelmingly negative is crazy.
Even though I haven't played the game, I have been paying attention. Like anytime like a new trailer drops for like a new season or event, I've been paying attention, and like I understand why they're pissed. Not only are you trying to charge for 2 battle passes, but the skins have been ass for like the last 10 seasons. It just be like different colors and shit like that.
They've been really bad.
So it's like
they also took away the ability for people to earn the amount of money to buy the battle pass. So it was like it was a twofer. Because if you played enough, you could get it back and buy the next battle pass.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. I will say one thing now that I think about it, that's treading new ground when it comes to these live service games. We've never seen a live service game that's gone out on top on its own merit. Do you think we'll ever see a day where Fortnite's like, hey, look, guys, we see the numbers dwindling. It's been a great ride, but we want to leave on our own merits versus like, I feel like every live service game has been shut down because it fell off or like it got attacked negatively or something like that? Do you think we'll ever reach a point where like not developers, but like these studios would be like, all right, 5 years, I think we've done everything we've done with this game. Let's let it go. Do you think? No,
I don't think so. Not with live service games.
That's the best way to get a better reviews on the live service.
I mean, yeah. We saw something with Baldur's Gate, right? They were like, "You making DLC?" They're like, "No, I don't think it makes sense for our game. We're not gonna see that for a live service. They have to like ride it to the end."
That's depressing.
I'll tell you funny. You want to hear something really depressing? I won't say who the publisher is, but I had a pitch like interview with them about Samurai Zero, and they asked me. They said, "Hey, so what's your plans in the future?" And I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I actually have written up the plan for this." And they said, "Oh, so what happens after this plan? Like, year 2 years, 3 years after this happens? What do you plan on doing after that?" I said, "Oh, I'm done. The game's done." They're like, "So it's not live service?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Well, wouldn't you want to keep going forever?" I'm like, "No, I lose my mind. I have set in the future a set plan. I wanted to do this and this and this, and then I'm done. Do something else." And they said, "Nah, it wasn't what we're looking for, because we're looking for something that can go on for 10 years." I said 10 years? I said, "All right, good luck." Good luck.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it, genuinely.
That's unfortunate. It's like, yeah, if you're not trying to milk your audience that doesn't even exist yet because you haven't released this game, we're not going to really fuck with that. So
I'm playing that.
That's all I got on the news side of things. So we're going to move over to the social justice warrior section, or shall I call it the wokey news section, where we're going to be reverting to our social justice warrior experts, UTX, JG the Don. First story I got for you. There is now a video game strike going on. Last year we had the writers and actors strike, but the gaming division of SAG, they are now under strike for two reasons. A, obviously better pay, but also protections against AI. Apparently there's nothing in the contract that protects the voice actors and all that other stuff. And this is going to affect a lot of games. The only games it won't affect is the games that were in production before the strike actually started. So like, what was it? Take-Two or Rockstar had came out and said that, oh, this shouldn't affect our game. But the thing is, if you read their statement, they say that, like, yes, contractually there are certain games that still need to be finished, but if you choose not to work, we will support you. So like, I saw some people like super excited. They was like, oh, don't worry, Grand Theft Auto 6 is safe. Take that with a grain of salt, 50-50. It really depends on if the workers choose this to show up. And me, I'm always going to advocate for paying people more, especially because these people work hard, especially these developers. A lot of them don't get to see their families. I mean, I was talking about on stream. I remember with the Epic Games, they had EA, they had gyms in there, arcades. Like, they don't want you to leave. Showers. These people don't get to see their families, and they barely getting paid. Man, pay them motherfuckers, bruh. Especially if they're making good games. That's my stance. So I really don't give a fuck if it delays games. I'm always going to advocate for treating people right. What you think, Watts?
Oh man, I don't know. I think with all the stuff that we've seen happening recently, the last 2 years have been, I don't know the exact amount of how many people have lost their jobs, but it's been a lot. So I think that anything that's working towards like having more protections for people, whatever they're doing in games, whether it's voice acting, whether it's, animation, whatever they're doing, more protection for them, I think, has been needed for quite a long time. And I know a couple of voice actors. They are so incredible at what they do, and having just their voices ripped and used, and I wouldn't want to see that. And it's never going to be as good as their actual work, too. But people are going to go, oh, that sounds like so-and-so. Why does it sound so bad? So it also comes back on them. It's like, you don't sound as good as you normally do. So yeah, I hope it works out for them. I think that we need to start having those kind of protections written into contracts. Like, if you don't want to be about it, or if you do and you have a price for them to pay to use your voice in an AI way, like, either way, there needs to be something.
Give us the game dev insight, Ethos.
No, I agree. I feel like that is insidious to take potentially old records or recordings of a voice actor maybe you might have used in a past game, and then instead of like calling them back in, be like, oh, why do we have to pay them to call them in for the sequel? We could just, like, can you imagine, if you will, TBH, imagine for the next Mass Effect, right? They're like, oh, we don't need to call Jennifer Hale in for female ship. We're just gonna use an AI and just build her voice model out from just all the games of everything she did in the trilogy. Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea. I think that they need voice actors. Definitely need. I agree with Watts. Need enhanced protections. I know a couple of voice actors that not only that I've worked closely with myself, but like they've done anime and everything else. And they're honestly, out of a lot of groups of people I've met, they're some of the coolest people on this earth. They're really awesome groups of people. Very kind and always to go above and beyond what you ever ask. Yeah, like I think that without a doubt that, and just in general, I am happy to hear about there's another union, I think in the Microsoft space. I think it was all of Bethesda now. Was it Bethesda or Active? I think it's Bethesda. I think all the developers in like all spheres of Bethesda have now become fully unionized. I can't remember.
We need more of that for sure.
Yeah, we need 1,000% more. So
at least let me know you're gonna let me go before you let me go. Can we get that happening?
That too, yeah.
So yeah, that stuff has me very happy. I hope they do get voice actors. Always deserve more. Deserve to be protected.
What's the name? You know who said that they're not worried about the strike that's going on? EA's CEO Andrew Wilson. He said,
"No, my lord,
we're working very closely." This is not an EA specific situation. This is an industry specific situation, and we're working diligently to negotiate the table. Wilson said, noting that the voice actors are important and a valued part of EA business. Is this cap or rap, JG? What do you think?
I mean, of course he would say that, right? Because I remember we spoke about this, and when the actors and the writers went on strike earlier, I remember the question I asked on Twitter. I said, "Will this affect video games?" And a lot of people were like, "Oh no, it won't affect the video games." And I knew this was going to be inevitable. We spoke about this, and we knew it was going to happen, and now it's here. And now people are like, "Oh shit, that's finally going down." And I found it funny because we talked about, another one of these articles earlier about EA specifically potentially using AI to use former VAs voices in their video game. So I find it funny that now the CEO is trying to save face because they were probably had these in the plans, and now that this strike is happening, like, oh no, y'all look good.
There's
it
no
won't
war
affect us.
embossing,
We're gonna be working with them closely. Yeah, no AI over here. No AI. No AI. So this is pretty hilarious that he's saying this. So I think this is just a bunch of cap. I mean, I think it is true, just in the fact that, like, hey, like, this is going down, and now if we try to do that, it will be a very, very bad look if we try to use AI for previous people who we've done VA work for. So that's all it is. It's just a bunch of smoke screen.
Pay them people. The cost of living is going up. Adjust the wages so people can have. Listen, when people are comfortable, they're more efficient. When people are more efficient, they work harder. When they work harder, the product is better. So in turn, you'll make more money. I don't know why this is a hard thing for people to comprehend. You don't need 25 cars, Penis Pete, or whatever your name was, Parsons. Penis, that's Spider-Man. Other SJW news I got for you. Not an article, but more of an announcement. I'm really curious to get Jay's take on this one right here. I know he's been real stressed out. You see the gray coming in his beard. Dr. Disrespect is back after admitting, first he was accused. Let me get the whole picture. If you've been living under a rock for like 5+ years, this man's been gaslighting the internet, making it seem like Twitch had it out for him, and that was the reason he was banned. But then a random whistleblower, a former employee of Twitch, came out and just randomly said the real reason he was banned was due to some PDF file stuff. And then some actual documents and reports came out. So then he was forced to actually release a statement on his official Twitter where he admitted he had some inappropriate interactions with minors. He said he was going to go on vacation. He would be back. Here we are 36 days later, and Dr. Disrespect tweeted a picture of him sitting at a board where he's playing chess, but on the other side, if you notice, they're playing checkers.
A child's version of chess. Interesting.
Jay, What is this doing for you? What do you think is going on here, man?
Oh my god, fuck this cryptid shit, man. What what are you really trying to say? Like, I feel like this is one of the worst sayings that you, Dr. Disrespect, should come back and be doing. Like, oh, I have this master plan. I'm playing chess and y'all are playing checkers. Like, this doesn't work for you. You tried to come back, and this is exactly what I said. This is exactly what's happening, right? Like, I said that this man was going to take this long vacation, right? And he was going to, take however long he wanted. And then he's going to come back. And then he's going to test the water, see how people were feeling, see if y'all forgot. Because, we're dealing with other stuff over here, like this election coming up. So a distraction technique, because how fickle people are. We do have ADHD, so we forget stuff. But there is a shift going on. I keep telling people 2024, wake that ass up. We are getting rid of all these PDF files.
Shout out to Cat Williams.
And right, shout out to Cat Williams for waking it up. And people are not forgetting. People are putting Dr. Disrespect on the Drake type of time right now. They are still throwing all Kendrick lyrics at him, and they did not let this man live. They were cooking him in the comments all day and all night. We did not forget, Negro. We did not forget. But the very interesting thing about this is I thought that he would just leave this picture here and then just go on about his business. No. He had a couple of things to say in the comments. He had a couple of things to say in the comments. He is on this full villain arc. And I'm like, I know your name is Dr. Disrespect, but this is really what you want to do right now. I don't think this is really what you want to do because you're making it worse on yourself. One particular person, apparently I didn't know that this was a meme, but the Goku meme. When they said, I heard you like pedophiles. I heard you like them little boys and girls. So someone hit him with that. And he said, little brainwashed woke boy putting out Dragon Ball Z graphics with Kendrick Lamar lines. Got me big time. So he's reacting. He's triggered. But another person said, you playing with the minor? And he said, it's a person with she/her in your bio. It said you better go and fight what y'all fight the most, depression. So I'm like, okay, so you're going at the pronouns too. So you really about that life, brother.
He's literally proving my point of something I said to you like 3 months on stream. I uploaded a TikTok about it. I gotta repost this shit. I made a joke. I said, what I've noticed is where do failing careers go online, whether you're a YouTuber or a streamer, when you're trying to make a comeback, they become right-wing grifters, bruh. And he's showing early signs he's about to go full-blown right-wing, where he's going to try to make it seem like everything's a conspiracy, the world's out to get him, we're all in the Matrix. This is a crazy picture to post after you just admitted you're doing pedo shit.
You admitted it.
You admitted you were doing pedo shit, and then you posted a picture saying you're playing chess. All I got from this post is I'm officially a checkers fan. What do you think, Ethan?
Oh my god!
That vacation was not long enough. He needed to take his ass back.
It's only been like 30 days, man.
Yeah,
come on.
What the heck? For, let's say a decade. Don't
that
even
clout.
back up. Better a whole generation, bro.
Man, them endorsements went away. I don't know if he has any left.
He'll be on Rumble by the end of this year. Mark my
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the money is coming up. So again, this is testing the waters, y'all. This is trying to see how y'all feel. There were some people who were like, "Hey, Doc is back." They were very excited.
A lot, actually.
And that kid got 51 million impressions. Like that's crazy just for him posting this picture. So you can see it's a lot of people who were caring. When is he coming back? When is he coming back? But again, people didn't forget there were a ton of people who were still on his ass. So. Like I said, it's going to be very interesting whenever he does ultimately decide to come back and stream. I want to be there with my popcorn. I want to see how people are going to be acting. And if he has the mods on deck that are literally going to just be banning people, because he's going to need it. The way that people are acting, I think they're going to come in there and be like, yo, like, nah. Wow. Yeah, I hear you like I'm young.
I wouldn't be surprised if his chat turns into like a PDF file version of like, you remember when the U.S. Army had an account and everybody just spammed war crimes. Like it's gonna be like that. They're gonna spam some specific phrase. They're gonna get him the fuck out. They made the Army quit Twitch. That shit was fucking funny, bro.
They did. Good job.
What's your take on this one?
Dude, the PDF file to right-wing grifter pipeline. Why does it work? if you ever wonder why does it work, why does your subsection of people embrace someone who has admitted to speaking to a minor privately? This is not people working against you. This is, you said on your own account, I was inappropriate talking to a minor. So sitting there being like what JG said with him responding to people, oh, you have pronouns in your bio, you talked to a minor and you said you did it. He doesn't have anything to be like, oh, they're just against me, they're trying to come at me with this, it's not true. He admitted himself. So to say, you can't come back from anything other than you were a grown man, 30, how old was he when he did it? 38 or something?
37, 38.
Something like that. And he was continue talking to a minor inappropriately.
There's no comeback for that.
There's no comeback. And if you embrace him after he has admitted to what he did, because he's saying that he doesn't like trans people and pronouns are terrible, like, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know how you can ever accept anyone back into your life in whatever capacity after that has happened. And I think shout out to the person who owns the studio that they were making the game, because he was like, hey, if you speak to a minor inappropriately, I am no longer having anything to do with you.
That was my boy Robert Bowling, bro. The guy that lied to us about Last Stand, bro. He
F you, Last Stand.
He said, fuck you, Last Stand. He said, fuck that PDF.
That's what we need everyone to do. You admitted to it. Nah, I'm good.
That's crazy. Before he even came out, this boy Robert said, yo, I did a check. That boy gotta go. He said, I ain't gotta tell y'all, bro. I did a check. He gotta go, bro. He got my utmost respect.
This whole situation just makes me feel weird in a sense that, like, this is not even the type of person where, like, you have to use that argument, like, I need to separate the art from the artist. It is like an example being like the R. Kelly stuff, right? Like, he's canceled. I understand why he's canceled, but I also understand to some degree why it was hard for some people to let go, because he did make some good music. I get it. That I understand, but he's still got to get him the fuck out of here. This is like a 40-year-old something guy who sits in his house with a cosplay and just playing a video game and screaming. He's not a tastemaker. Like, he's not putting anything on. He's not doing anything creative. He's not pushing needles. He's just yelling at a game. So I don't understand what's the connection here where, like, you're just having such a hard time to let him go. It's really weird. And to make matters worse, also, he's a fraud developer too, because I got this article too. Midnight Society, the studio that he claimed he was working with, they said that he was just a figurehead. He didn't do shit. They threw him under the bus.
What?
Yeah, I put the article in the notes. They say he ain't do nothing. They were using him for clout.
And this one is wild. This one, when I saw this, I was like, are y'all trying to, like, save face here? This one is weird because the only thing that I will give Guy here, his real name, Guy Beam here, is he actually did work on Call of Duty back in the day. So it's not like he didn't do anything at all. But when I saw this, I was like, damn, y'all really just said he's an influencer. It sounds like y'all are trying to mitigate what his real job responsibility is. This is what I think. I don't think that he was just an influencer who got, I think this is Cap. I don't think he was just an influencer that got brought on to bring attention to the game and then play the game. Yeah, I think he actually had some input. I think he had some real genuine input. Let's not act like this guy, it's just like the Shroud situation, right? Like, Shroud knows CSGO and Valorant like the back of his hand. So he would have some really good insight on how to make a new game, in that same vein. I think that Dr. Disrespect also has a similar experience and input.
He worked on Advanced Warfare. His name's
exactly. I'm not saying if it's good consulting, but he has consulting.
He has game dev experience. Yeah, he's worked on video games. Yeah.
So I think this one is Cap, but I found it very interesting.
We're gonna see when he come back. Like I said, JG said we're gonna have the popcorn out. We're gonna be watching it. I'm also be keeping eyes on who's supporting him too. We watching you too.
You watching him?
Because this ain't the first time he did it. Like I said, the last time we talked about this, he came back after he cheated on his wife, and then it had a big old, everybody wanted to, like, oh, Doc is back. I want to see how it is now. I want to check that climate and see what everybody's doing.
He's gonna be playing with Nick Merckx, 100%.
He's on that Nick Merckx time. I mean, talking about pronouns and trans, right? He trying to do his best.
You think he's going to after that? Like, after both of them disowned him, you think he's gonna feel?
They did. Did they disown him?
I thought,
both of them did say that they can't.
Yeah, they said I can't. Well, who's the other one? Timmy.
It was
Tim
Nick
the
Mertz
Tatman.
and Tim the Tatman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tim
Yeah.
was like a straight up like, I don't fuck with that. It's real fucking bad. Like he disowned it. I think relatively like pretty good. Nick Mertz was kind of a man. I'm just like I can't believe it, bro.
This is crazy. Like,
Yeah. It wasn't
right.
like he did say like, oh yeah, like that type of shit is wrong. But it was kind of like that sort of like I'm just in shock type of thing.
yeah.
Tim was more like,
We'll
no,
see.
fuck, you don't do nice. But
Tim
yeah, we'll
looked
see.
pretty like genuinely upset
Yeah.
about it.
Tim,
Like, that was his
genuinely
boy
looked
for
like,
real.
What the fuck? Like,
And Tim worked with kids in the past. I'm pretty sure.
Also, don't
So-
he got kids? Bro, if
That's
we,
what I'm
Kids,
if
saying.
we
That's-
cool and I
all
got
of
you,
them have
not
kids.
allowed around my kids. What the fuck are we
That's what
talking
I'm
about here?
saying.
All of them have kids.
Well,
bro.
the same thing that Midnight Society just did in this article is the same thing that Nick Mercer and them were trying to say was effectively. Nick Mercer's whole defense was, I didn't even know the man. We just played video games. I'm
Yeah.
like, for 4 years. I played with these two below me for over a decade. I went to one man's wedding in here. Like, what do
Right,
you mean?
that- like that's
You played
your
with it?
friend, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
It's
your
it's
friend.
okay.
That's your friend,
Yeah,
100%.
ain't no way
Right.
you've been playing video games for 4 years and be like, oh no, we just came in a room, we just started playing video. Nah, bro, get the fuck out.
He was like, I didn't know who Guy was. I knew who
Yeah.
disrespect was.
Actually, that was a good bar. That's a good bar.
It's fucking
Oh,
crazy,
man.
bro.
Leave kids alone, please. Stop
Please.
texting them.
Yo, word of advice, bro. If you get famous some way, somehow, you get a lot of money, bro. There's only one requirement. Stop talking to kids. Just
Stop
stop.
talking to kids.
Stop
It's getting
talking
weird,
to
man. I
kids.
want to bring up one thing before we're done with it. Do y'all remember the King Nappy?
Yeah.
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 Y'all remember
PDF
everything
file
that happened
file.
with him? No, he was. I mean, yeah, he was on some grooming stuff, but it was on the
Damn.
same side of the spectrum. And you remember when he tried to come back, and
I don't even remember
it was not the same. I like checked up on him, and he
Hold
tried
up.
to do something like a year ago, and it just didn't work. And
Hold
then
up,
he just
hold
got
up,
off the
hold up.
internet again.
So here's where I'm going to give you a counter. And this, like, I hate to say this, but the rules are different. First and foremost,
Black.
he's black. Yes.
I know. I know.
He's black.
You know
I
they
know.
try to get niggas the fuck up out of here any chance they get. And then second, King Nappy was never as big as Dr. Disrespect either. So he had two things working against him. He was always one strike away, but like my theory has
Thinking
always been
Pokemon,
nothing can defeat white men except for the PDF file stuff and kicking puppies. And Dr. Disrespect is showing my theory might be wrong. I'm still 50-50 on this. I'm hoping y'all hold the line and don't support this shit, bruh.
It's insane to me that anyone's even thinking of supporting it. I just,
Yeah.
I
I
blows
just
my
really
mind.
want
I
to know
feel like I'm
what
going insane.
what are people's lines? What are everybody's lines that they're just like, no.
Not cheating on your wife, not trying to
Yeah.
hook up with a bunch of girls at TwitchCon, not talking to a minor. None of those, apparently.
No, their line is Concord. That's
Their
what,
Yo.
that shit is fucking garbage, bro. Or Star Wars Outlaws shit is they rally for that. But then this minor shit is like whatever. This was it's getting really weird, bro.
It's really weird.
Freaking and the worst part is this isn't the only PDF stuff we got going on, bruh. The fucking cameraman of AMP got exposed and he admitted to it. Specifically, the cameraman is named Chris V, not the one that's in AMP, Chris Next Door. Because somebody about to catch a lawsuit for getting that confused. He got caught. The cameraman for AMP got caught talking to a minor as well. So like, I'm just gonna present the question. Like, what? I've seen this as a joke on TikTok, but now I'm starting to think, like, what is it with some content creators where they get this popularity and they just go off on far left? I don't know what the fuck. I don't get it. I can't wrap my
They
brain
were
around it.
losers before it happened.
Too.
They had no social skills. They don't talk to nobody. They get a little bit of clout. Your result.
Yeah, Ethos hit the nail on the head.
You know what's crazy? I don't even think it is for a lot of them. I don't think it is like an attraction, like an actual like mental issue of being attracted to a child. It's more of this person is giving me attention.
It's a power dynamic.
I've never, it's a power dynamic, and because I'm older and stuff like that, right? Like they look up to me, like they've never had someone look up to them, and now that they've had that, and they're attractive or whatever it is, that's a whole other thing, or that they are of the of whatever attraction that they have, that inclines them to then go for it.
But then that's still not
makes sense
even.
with the text. It
Still
makes sense.
weird.
Hold on. It's still weird because check it out,
It's
right?
always fucking weird. I'm not even trying to justify it.
Someone
It's
like
fucking
Dr.
weird.
Disrespect is a multi-millionaire, and one thing we all know, there are people out there that will be with somebody strictly for their status and their money. So like, why, if you really want to be in some power dynamic situation, at least why not deal with an adult that wants that from you versus going to like,
because an adult isn't going to do that. Because an adult, for example, right, isn't going to just agree to everything you say. Most of them. Most of them, right?
They'll agree to some, but not all.
There's a level of like, I'm not going to agree to everything. But an impressionable minor who doesn't know, who's very fucking naive about the world, doesn't know shit, is probably going to be more that what you said, the line's going to be way farther.
This whole conversation makes my head hurt, and it's fucking disgusting. I'm gonna be honest.
Because you're fucking normal. You're fucking normal. That's why.
Yeah, right.
That's why he doesn't exist.
It's a manipulation thing, right? It's like, well, if I'm with someone who's 16, I can mold them into whatever I want.
Grown men, and all this stuff. I mean, no, those are right. Like a lot of men are socially awkward. Like a lot more men than you think are socially awkward, and it's not just overall, but like specifically with women. Like they are just super awkward. Like, could you understand that women do have the power? Like, I know the whole red pill stuff is pretty much out the window on YouTube, but there were some truths to what some of them were saying. Like, that women hold the power to sex, and we hold the power to relationships, and that's always how it's been. And a lot of dudes just are not getting sex, and it's because again we just have no game. We're just socially awkward around them. So when you get up to that status, you're socially awkward growing up, you get up to that status and now everybody knows you, and you're just going to latch on to anybody who gives you any sort of attention. And just unfortunately, it's the impressionable girl. They'll be the ones that'll reach out to you first. And I don't know why, again, just in your mind as an adult male, you're just not like, hey, stop. Like, I don't care what's going on. But again, just the horny or something else just takes over, and you're just like, whatever. I'm just going to shoot my shot because I really can't explain what else that it could be at this point. I really cannot explain what else can it be at this point. That would just make you continue with the conversation, bro.
Work on yourself.
People who are like 8 years younger than me, I'm like, you are a child. Go away.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I remember the first time I had that epiphany. It was funny because it was with JG when we were at TwitchCon. And I remember saying to you, I was like, "Do these girls look young to you, bro?" And I think I was like 28 at the time. I was just like, I don't like this, bro.
Like,
and they were like 21. They were legal, but it was just like,
It's weird, right? Like you know how you were at 21. You know how you are at 28. You're like, I am like a different person. I've been through so much. I'm in a different part of my life. Like, it's not the same.
I'm sick of. I'm
16. Oh my god.
I'm sick of having these conversations. I'm sick of having these conversations.
Stop!
Please.
It's not going to end though.
The moment they tell you they're underage, stop. Just say,
you're done.
Good for you. I'm done. I'm sorry. That's not for me. Stop communicating.
And this Chris V situation, did y'all see the text?
He could have
nasty,
stopped.
Just a nasty motherfucker, bro.
Just stop. He didn't do it.
The girl
hold on.
She was 19 at first, and then she admitted that she was 17, and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, but then he said, "But," like, he doubled back.
On a positive note, I did like Kai's response. Like, he was damn near in tears. Like, you could tell that shit hurt him.
He
like,
was.
You could tell. Like, god damn, dude. Like, he was like, I don't fuck with. That's what I want to hear. Like, I understand it hurt you, but like, I can't fuck with that shit, bro. Like, you have to draw
stand
a
your
line.
ground. Stand on business about it. And it sucks though. Like, I really feel bad for Kai because I feel like Kai, especially in the recent situations, it wasn't directly involving him. Like, even the situation with his man's
and his pictures all over these articles. They ain't even posting to do Chris V.
Yeah,
they ain't even post him. Yeah, they ain't post him. It's just all about Kai because again, association. He's the biggest person in AMP. So like, it sucks that he had to deal with the situation with his man earlier, and now he got to deal with his cameraman. So now he got to figure out another situation with him and figure out how he's going to continue to do content, because you can't just go and get somebody who you can rely on. And who knows how long that Chris V has been working with him. Who knows if that was his man for real. Like again, we don't know the full dynamic of their relationship, but like, damn, just to find this out, and you're like, damn, bro, like Come on, man. Like, you messing up the business. Like, why would you do that dumb stuff? And then now you got to get you up out of here immediately because everybody's looking to you for a response. So you got to do what you got to do.
Throw them under the jail. That's how I feel.
Yep.
That's all I got on the show notes. Do y'all want to add anything else before we wrap this one up?
That's it.
Stop.
Stop it.
Stop
Just
opening
fucking-
PDF files. Stop it.
Cut it out.
Ladies first. Closing statement for episode 158, I believe. Watts, what is it?
Play games, support developers, support indie devs. If you're really sick of the way the industry is going and the way that these bigger companies are treating their people, support some indie devs. Get some small teams. There's so many amazing indie developers and indie games. Play them.
Okay.
And support unique games too. From bigger publishers.
Ethos. She says support developers. I know that made you feel good, but right now we just want to hear what your closing statement for episode 158 got.
Mecha Break is better than Marvel Rivals.
Look at this
Don't
guy.
play it.
Was that supposed to offend somebody?
Girls.
It'll offend somebody in the comments.
Like, you're allowed to like it. Like, what?
I know. It'll piss somebody
I saw
off.
those thighs. I saw them. Those thighs, those hips. I saw them.
Oh, the mecha mommies. Yeah, I seen it.
Oh.
The back of my-
The jiggle is
Oh
real.
shit. We gonna talk about that on the next podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some time on that with Debated.
Okay.
What's the name? Jay, closing statement, episode 158. Go.
I said this on Twitter and I'll say it again. Y'all better share that same energy for people who apparently don't play games or they play games but they don't beat them. But when we're talking about credibility to speak about said video games, I want y'all to have that same energy for these grifters over here who are talking about all these video games, but you don't see them playing any. Where's the gameplay? That's all I want to see. Because if you're not playing these games, I don't feel like you have the right to be grifting about them and expressing your discontent with anything in the video game, especially if you don't even know what the story is about. What are you talking about? Cut it out.
And my closing statement for episode 158 is I learned recently on TikTok that Australia has some type of one-way like beef or rivalry with the United States that's really kind of been exacerbated thanks to the Olympics. So if there are any Australian viewers in the comment section, I would love to know. Maybe you don't necessarily have an issue with Americans, but maybe some of your friends do. I would love to know what's the beef, because over here in America, we love you guys. Like, we don't have no issues with you guys. It's just, when it's time to play sports, it's USA, USA. Like, it's like the Venom symbiote just takes over my body, the American flag.
I turned to Homelander.
But like, I see some real vile shit on TikTok, and I'm just like, where does this come from? Like, I'm gonna be honest, we don't even think about y'all. Like not even on some funny shit. Just like, where does this come from? But like, okay, explain it to me. But yeah, other than that, we appreciate y'all for listening to the podcast. Make sure to rate it 5 stars on Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you on the next time. The Game Illuminati podcast. Peace. Drugs are bad, okay?